Okay, good evening. Welcome to Scio Township Board of Trustees meeting. Today is July 22nd, 2025. Let's bring this meeting to order at 7. Well, is it 7?
Now.
7 p.m. Okay, Clerk Flintoff, roll call, please.
Supervisor Carey,
Present.
Yeaple,
Present.
Flintoff, present, Brandt,
Present.
Noel, absent, Reed,
Present.
Riser,
Present.
also present, Office Coordinator Chrissy Aiken, and running late but here shortly, Township Attorney Mariah Fink.
Okay, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, adoption of the agenda. Are there any recommendations, changes, additions, corrections?
I have one proposed addition.
Okay.
I'd like to add the draft special meeting minutes of July 15th as J2. They were distributed yesterday.
That was July 15th. Okay, anything else? Is that a no, or we're just,
No, I have nothing.
none? Okay. All right, is there a motion to approve the agenda as is, or well, amended agenda?
Moved. Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 6-0. I do not believe anything on the agenda needs to have a declaration of conflict.
Well,
Oh,
maybe you're right, sir, because I saw a saxophone player walk in, who also happens to be a lawyer in a band that I'm in, and, I think it's something that it's been in front of the planning commission a while back, and now it's up, and I think it's the Scio Township, Dexter area, wood, log operation. So I have been on the other side of Scott on things, but I'm also in a band on him. I don't. With him, that's hilarious. A band with him. I don't anticipate that there'd be a conflict. I'll call it like I see it. I see it that it's on consent agenda, but I just wanted to declare that, just put it out there.
For the record, are you talking about K11 Wallace Developmental Conditional Land Use?
yeah, I don't have a problem with it.
That, I'm declaring.
Okay,
I'm not asking for a motion or asking to refuse or anything.
okay. All right, thank you. All right, correspondences, and Clerk Flintoff, you sent out an email stating that there was updates to the correspondences, so, right?
Yes, all the ones that the board had received as of 4:45 p.m. today are included in the online packet.
Okay, thank you. Now is the time for public comments. This is the time for members of the public to speak to the Board of Trustees for up to 5 minutes on any matter. And I guess we already have somebody. Hi, Tom.
Good evening. Hi, Jillian.
How are you?
Good evening. My name is Tom Oth, and I've been a Scio Township resident for 32 years. I'm the Scio Township delegate to the Washtenaw Regional Resource Management Authority and have been since its inception in 2019. WARMA deals with recycling and waste management and has been involved in attempts to negotiate a regional waste hauling contract. The very last item on your agenda this evening is a question posed by Ryan Yeaple asking whether Scio Township should participate in waste collection and management which I interpret to mean, should Scio Township go back to the good old days of everyone fending for his or her own self, to get trash service. I'm against that. The essential reasons I am against that are, number one, trash trucks on the road every day of the week. That means multiple trucks most days of the week, increasing congestion, noise and dust, and blocking traffic. My road is a gravel road. Dust is a genuine issue. Scio Township has a good number of gravel roads, some of which are narrow, and congestion can be a real problem. Number two, after being involved in Warma's attempts to do a regional contract, I know that the cost of going back to the good old days is going to increase simply due to post-COVID price increases and the lack of economy of scale. A single hauler who collects for everyone in the township is going to charge less. Number three, I am sure there are residents who will only contract for trash service and will omit recycling to save money. Although I do not consider myself an environmental fanatic, I have come to realize the importance of increasing recycling to reduce material going to a landfill and to reuse material to avoid waste. Four, I think the trash service is one, if one is allowed to contract with any hauler, is not going to be so easy to find. The mom and pop companies that used to be out there have been bought up by all the bigger companies. And we know that the trash hauling business has changed, and some of the bigger companies have gotten out of residential hauling business due to the smaller profit margins. And residents will not have the township to back them up if service problems arise. I know that dealing with service problems does increase township staff attention, but if you take a look around, you'll see other townships in our area and cities and villages have transitioned to a single hauler contract and have not looked back. I know of no township or city that has contracted for a single hauler ever going back to not doing that. I've spoken to most of you about ways to address problems with the present service, and I am confident that efforts can result in better service. I note that Theo Egerbon of the County Water Resources Commissioner's Office and Mark Perry, the Scio Township alternate to Warma, both of whom I work with on a regular basis and have for years, have expressed opinions similar to mine, and those should be in your packets. I think that you will find that the three of us are available to discuss in detail the points which we have made. Finally, I would remind all other residents who plan to make public comments this evening to be respectful, thoughtful, and civil, avoiding comments intended to be spiteful, hurtful, and vindictive. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Could I just make a quick request of my colleagues? Our mics are so sensitive that if you are typing, could you please turn off your mic while you're typing? Thank you.
Some Scio Township resident.
Hi, Rob.
There's a DDA item on the agenda tonight, and it appears to be an ultimatum to the DDA to return the legally captured millage funds, or the DDA will be dissolved through a repeal action. Quote, abolish the DDA effective immediately is one of the options on that agenda item. This spring, the Board of Trustees modified the submitted DDA budget in line item changes, something you're not allowed to do. Then you ask the DDA to return millage captures. Then you threaten abolishing the DDA altogether. Is this how this board intends to deal with government questions? Do it our way or you'll be abolished? How exactly is that good leadership? How exactly does that serve the interest of residents? Got a question for both attorneys. Can the township abolish the DDA before 2031? I would appreciate a response from Township Attorney Fink, and I understand the DDA attorney is here tonight too. On the garbage item, the township wrote into law the intention to promote the highest standards of service, experience, and reliability at a competitive rate. As that contract resulted in high standards? Absolutely not. Experience, the inability to get through to GFL and priority means the responsibility for responding to issues fell to the last two supervisors. Reliability? No. There are still some areas in this township with constant reliability issues. How exactly did this ridiculous proposal conform with the law? I'm talking about the ordinance in the township municipal code. How did this ridiculous proposal conform with the law? Not at all. Did all of this mess do anything to protect the roads? I don't think so. Was it worth all of the extra effort? No. Supervisor Hathaway refused to ever fine GFL or priority for substandard service. He left somewhere between $300,000 and $500,000 in fines uncollected during his reign. We've had a new administration in place since November. How many complaints have there been since then? How many fines have been issued and how much? If no fines have ever been collected, then why was that part of the contract? Was it to placate residents with no intention of holding the trash collection service to a high standard? Excuse me. In the ordinance, section 26-19 in 10 says, quote, the management of the township's municipal trash and recyclables is an important environmental service. The township seeks to reduce negative impacts on the local roads in the township of Scio, promote efficiencies for trash and recycling services, promote the highest standards of service experience and reliability at a competitive rate. Section 26-26 penalty. Violations of this article shall be a municipal civil infraction subject to the penalties established in section I-8, municipal civil infractions of the Scio Township Code. Each day a violation exists shall be deemed a separate offense. The imposition of any penalty shall not exempt the person or company from compliance with the requirements herein. And then goes on to section I-8, which is all about civil infractions. Tonight in the salary study, thank you, Ryan, for responding to my questions at the last board meeting. You said no raises will be given in the first year. Why not? The entire purpose of the salary study was to establish what those raises should be and to catch people up on decades of no performance raises or no performance reviews. Why pay $25,000 for something we're not even going to use to finally catch up employees after decades of zero performance reviews or performance raises? Then tonight you have raises suggested by Aurora in the agenda. Why is it the executive level getting pay raises now without everyone, all caps, everyone, getting the same preferential treatment? And why is the HR manager, Aurora, suggesting a raise for herself? October 8th of 2024, this board engaged Bromberg for the salary study and classification of all bargaining and non-bargaining staff. Why were the firefighters left out, when that was the original request in 2024? Did Bromberg generate that data and it just wasn't included in the report? That's the question. Or did they skip it altogether? I would appreciate an answer on that. The proposed spreadsheet notes that Skip Davis got a 33.4% raise in April. I think it's important the board knows that he was making $15 an hour as our fire inspector, or arson inspector rather. That's a crime for what he does to benefit the township. And that's just one example. Page 162 of tonight's agenda packet has the credit card request form. The fourth bullet point allows the township to deduct credit card purchases from an employee's payroll if they are late past the 30-day deadline. How does this foster a healthy working environment? And then lastly, dioxane. Dan Bignell's report sent out last week, I'm sure all of you have seen it, reports that there are 6 more dioxane poisoned wells north of M14 That means there are now 52 poisoned wells north of M14, with some wells tested in the past increasing in dioxane this year. That data reflects a serious amount of wells that are probably poisoned north of M14. And what is Scio doing about that? Lots of questions I hope you'll answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, hi Gus.
My name is Kostas Butsikakis. Most of you know me as Gus. I'm currently the chair of the DDA. And I'm here to say a couple words because to clear some of the stuff that's been said lately. In regards to the DDA. It seems like we have a bunch of questions, what do we do and should we be around or not? So here are some facts, the way I understand them for the last 36 years that I've been here. Before the boulevard was bonded by the DDA and it came to fruition, it was a 2-lane road. It was a 2-lane road. I have a business I opened up 36 years ago, and I think I was about the last business on the boulevard besides the next plaza. At the time, we were contemplating, believe it or not, whether we did well in the morning, whether we should be open at nighttime or not. We never did much of a business. And Mr. Delvecchio, which was in charge at the time of the boulevard with the acquisition, he says to me, hang around, hang around. August, I believe, they opened up the boulevard. It was like turning on the faucet. Exactly. There was a couple, 3 restaurants on the boulevard over here, 4 maybe. At the time, there's about 40 right now. If you take it from where it starts all the way to the finish. I know it's hard to imagine there's 40, but there is. And more business are looking to come out here. DDA was a big part of bonding the boulevard, the sewer, the landscape, the bus stop enclosures, the paving the boulevard, various streets connected into Jackson Road. Maintenance, tearing down old buildings like the Pizza Hut, and cleaning areas, ensuring that this jewel of Scio Township stays that way. So the future investors would love to move out here and do business on Scio Township. DDA is committed to the mission on all the contributions to the various funds of Scio Township, Fire Department, Transportation, Parks, Recreation, and Open Spaces. DDA has always been here to contribute and will always be here with your help to contribute to the Scio Township for the benefit of all the people doing business here and its residents. If there is a different perception out there, I believe it's wrong. Personally, and everybody on the board is looking forward to working with the township on the same mission. If DDA stops to exist, there will be a burden for the Scio Township for the work that we do right now. The work that DDA does right now maintains the boulevard alone and some of the, not all the things, some of the things that they can cost $250,000. So being short and abolishing at the same time the DDA, how is that gonna help? Someone needs to enlighten me on that because we don't want to leave the money on the table. We don't want to leave the money back to the state. It doesn't matter whether we spend it, whichever we spend it, which we spend it carefully, we spend it wisely. It's always spent on Scio Township. None of us gets paid, none of us gets any money, and none of us has any interest on anything that we do. We personally, I would feel that all of you are looking for the benefit of the township and the same way that we do, and I will look forward to working with all of you for the benefit of this boulevard. There's definitely a jewel on Scio Township, and we like to keep it that way. And personally, we all look forward to working with you. We never said that we're not going to contribute to the fire department or to the various projects, parks, recreations, etc. We'll do our best. There's no question about it. Staying in our mission as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Gus.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Gus.
Hi, Jay.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jay Holland. I'm a lifelong resident of Washtenaw County, as was my father, as was my grandmother, as was my great-grandfather, and my great-great-grandfather and great-great-great-grandfather were spent most of their lives in Washtenaw County. So I'm going to touch on a bit of history. Of course, some of it I've heard, most of it is what I've witnessed. And I want to start with the idea that well into the 1990s, Jackson Road was a three-lane highway. It was, as I could tell, occupied by small businesses, many that were in pole barns and pre-engineered steel buildings. They were attached to on-site sewage disposal systems and wells, which ecologically is not the best way to go. Then the state of Michigan partnered with Scio Township and Scio Township's DDA to install a water system along Jackson Road. And then DDA partnered to develop a sewer system. And then they partnered with the Washtenaw County Road Commission to develop what is now known as Jackson Boulevard. During the next couple of decades came apartments, attainable housing units, jobs, a major grocery store, and as Gus said, many, many restaurants and many businesses. And many businesses have been very beneficial to Scio Township. It's hard to imagine Parkland Plaza area without the co-housing and the subsidized housing. And none of that would have happened when I bought my first lot in Parkland Plaza. They were just transitioning to sewer, and it hadn't moved because to do on-site sewage disposal systems wasn't really going to work for businesses, and that was kind of a blighting a little bit. And what about the University of Michigan Medical Building in Parkland Plaza? That wouldn't be there. And all of this was kind of started with the ball rolling with DDA in the state of Michigan. And God, it's hard to imagine without West Arbor on Jackson Road, that wouldn't be there. You know, I don't know how they dealt with the old Mercy Wood that was there. And then came multiple units and apartments, and add in the mid-range price units, many of which are along the South Zeb Road corridor. The DDA projects have helped reduce the amount of urban sprawl by having a utility system and transportation system. And these have all been part of DDA and their initiatives. Scio DDA paid for a bus study to find the practicality of a bus system in Scio Township. DDA started the planning for the sidewalk in Parkland Plaza when there was a need. They paid for and participated with the Washtenaw County Road Commission in the North Zeb Road Corridor Study. In fact, we paid for the whole thing. Washtenaw County just helped us do it. DDA has contributed to pathway projects, boulevard road maintenance, boulevard landscaping maintenance, signage maintenance, and they've been involved with the repaving of several side streets in the DDA district because our charter only lets us do the DDA district. Additionally, DDA contributes to administrative fees for Scio Township, the audit for Scio Township, the fire department, the parks department, the pathways project. So what I'm saying is that Scio Township is not a burden. They're actually a positive thing for Scio Township, and bring additional funding for the growth and the maintenance of Scio Township. And I'm sort of appalled that this is what the trustees are discussing to eliminate. Thanks.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you, Jay.
Thanks, Jay.
I guess,
I'm Linda Smith, 45-year resident, Scio Township.
hi, Linda.
4144 West Liberty Road. I'm speaking as a private resident, but I'm also a member of the DDA board. When Scio Township Board of Trustees adopted the ordinance to establish the DDA in 1988, they charged it with increasing the property tax valuation where possible in the business district of the township and to promote economic growth. I think the two speakers prior to me have done a good job of explaining how that has happened. DDA district has been defined as the downtown district properties along Jackson Road, parts of Wagner Road, and a short section of North Zeb Road. When the DDA engaged in two major improvements for the township, the construction of the sewer and water capabilities along Jackson Road and nearby areas of the township, most of these were included in the DDA district, and the DDA was part of the Jackson Road Boulevard. Recent projects have also improved the Scio Township landscape. But perhaps the most important thing that the DDA is able to bring is additional funding to the township with its 50% capture of millages in Scio Township. This is the crux of the decision or this discussions this evening. This is the actual 2024 DDA millage captures for that year. That's a total of 18 mills. Blue is DDA capture, which would only happen as the DDA exists. The red, which is 5.97 mills, $337,000 in 2024, is what was taken away from the township. Could have been, if the DDA did not exist, given to the township fund instead. These two numbers, $1,814,000, which would not have been collected if the DDA did not exist, 13.8 mills, added to the 5 mills, come to a total of $2,151,000, 241 in 2024. These are actual numbers. The DDA in that year dispersed $1,579,972 for the benefit of Scio Township in a number of different ways. You can see that that is a lot larger number than the $337,000, which the township would have obtained had the DDA not existed. The DDA 2025 budget is $1,360,000 as approved by the Board of Trustees. That includes $450,000 to the fire department this year, $160,000 to the roads and bus service, $150,000 to landscaping and snow removal on the boulevard, $100,000 to the sheriff's department, $50,000 to parks, and $450,000 in new projects inside of township. This money is spent for the benefit of the township. It is spent from the funds which are taken by the DDA as a part of the millage captures. The discussion is that fire millage was not intended to be a millage and the DDA should not be pulling millage funds from that, but to abolish the entire DDA funding on behalf of a 2.7 mil collection for the future will mean that for 2026, the township will lose 13.8 mils in 2024. I don't know what the new number is for 2026, but I would estimate it is higher than that. So in order to get $655,401 in DDA capture back into the general fund, if the DDA is terminated by the Scio Township Board of Trustees, they will give up in excess of $1.8 million to do so. I think it's a poor choice.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Linda.
Linda.
Thanks, Linda.
Gonna be short. Stein, longtime resident, 50+ years of Scio Township.
Hi,
Um,
Pat.
So, couple things, just two things. I hope I can stick with it. There was a comment, excuse me, the last meeting lasted till 1 a.m. I was one of 2 or 3 people that stayed till 1. There was discussion regarding the supervisor's legal fees. No one asked the supervisor to change attorneys, switch attorneys in midstream, but there was a discussion about the fact that we as residents are paying for 2 attorneys at a very high rate. $750 for one an hour, $650 for another. I think the discussion was, what if we went to these attorneys and asked them to reduce their fee to a reasonable rate, which would have been maybe a quarter or a third of what they're charging now? That's a lot of money. And I know there was a comment about the board as a third-party payer has nothing more than an opinion they can offer. Well, I feel that I am a payer, being a taxpayer, and I have an opinion, and my opinion is you need to at least get your money's worth. And right now, we're not. We're overpaying for an attorney. I know you're innocent. I've told you many times in my heart, I know you did not do these things you're accused of. But that doesn't help what's going on now. If you end up going to trial, this attorney that is overcharging us and overcharging us obscenely, every time he ticks off the judge, for an hour, we sit back and we're paying what, $7.50 and $6.50 an hour? I mean, if this attorney can't stand up to Judge Simpson, something needs to be done. If we're gonna pay money if we're gonna pay money for the attorney to sit because he ticked off the attorney, let's pay less. You know, we need to start thinking about what this is costing us and what it's gonna continue to cost us. I know this is a horrible predicament you're in, and the board is in, and the public is in. But something really does need to be done without finger pointing. You know, we are all in this together. We are all paying. We really are, but we need to get our money's worth. So reduce the amount, drop an attorney, do something, but it's killing us. It really is. Something needs to be done. That's my opinion. I also have an opinion, and I'm probably not gonna be here for the DDA discussion, but again, I'm a taxpayer and I have an opinion. And I think the DDA, we've heard from, the people we heard from so far are the DDA board members and Rob. But I have an opinion as well. And I thank them for all the hard work they've done all these years. But the time has ended. The reason they were formed, it's completed. Let's take what little things are left to do and disperse them to others. And I'd say go to option 4, solve the DDA. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat.
Thanks, Pat.
Anyone else present?
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Ryan Sweeney, the attorney for the DDA. I don't think I could expand much on the usefulness above and beyond what's already been broached, but I would like to touch on kind of the legality of what's in front of us. We all know why the question has arisen about the capture amounts. There was a proposal that was drafted, maybe unintentional consequences that this capture happened. And the township trustees have approved the DDA budget for 25-26. In that budget, you can see that the DDA is giving up $100K to the sheriff, $250,000 to the fire department for a new truck, $100,000 for inspections, $100,000 for backflow prevention, which as a total is $550,000 for fire and safety. In addition, the DDA is giving $50,000 for parks, $120,000 for roads, and $40,000 for bus, which is $220,000 for roads and parks. We're talking about a capture of $655,000 that the trustees are seeking, and the DDA is already voluntarily giving up $770,000 for items that are covered under those same exact categories that all benefit the Scio Township. The board is ready and willing to talk about how we can fix this, how the capture funds can come back, how they can be used for the purposes that they should be used for, what they were voted on. But I think that we're going about it the wrong way. The sections that we're talking about in the statutes of the state of Michigan, specifically section 214 sub 4, which is MCL 125.4214. Any reallocation of these funds that are captured by the DDA, this allocation has to have been done prior to the formation of the authority, prior to the formation of the DDA under that section. If you want to change those distributions, the allocations, where the funds go that are captured, the section is sub 5. I believe that it can be accomplished legally, but it has to go this other route with public hearing and approvals under sub 5. I think it's a little more work, but it is the legal course. To address, is it Ron's question about whether or not the the trustees have the authority or the ability to dissolve the DDA prior to its expiration on its term? I think the answer is yes. I do believe that the authority is there, but I think it has to be for a proper purpose, such as the completion of the purpose of the DDA's organization. And with all of the growth on Jackson Road and the surrounding area, I think the DDA's purpose is far from complete. And so I'll leave you with that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else present? Yes.
Hello,
Hi.
my name is Nicholas Ehrlich. I'm very new to Scio Township, having only moved here in 2023. I was unaware of most of what is being talked about because I'm also very new to attending Scio Township meetings. I look forward to continuing that habit for years to come as I live here. I don't know very much about what is going on with the DBA and why Scio Township has a proposal to eliminate it. But I would say that as a citizen who, like many who are new to this township, I don't think most of the population of the township knows that that's even a question. And given that, and given how important the DDA has been in the past, I would request that this is not something that the board itself takes up and it puts it out into the public, has the public hearing, and deals with it so that in a way that the public is actually knowledgeable about it, or at least has an opportunity to be knowledgeable about it. So that is my statement on the DDA. I would also just like to say that as a new resident, I would be remiss to lose the solid waste being handled by the township. I've never lived in a township, or I've never lived in a place where I had to go find my own. And as we move into the future and how Scio Township runs, I hope that we can continue to have that be a city government mandate or a responsibility as opposed to moving it back to the public. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me, would you be so kind to spell your name for me so I can?
Last name is EHRLICH.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else present for public comments? No? Okay, let's move to Zoom, please, or remote access.
Anyone that wants to speak at public comment, please raise your Zoom hand. There are no hands raised.
Are you sure?
Give it just a second or two.
Because that's odd.
Happens sometimes.
Never.
Well, with this new system, I don't know, does it?
Okay, now there's a hand raised.
Okay.
I just took it.
Yeah, gave him time.
Hi, this is Jonathan. I have absolutely nothing to say. Have a great night.
There you go.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Well, at least we know it's working. Okay, then.
Yeah, just wanted to help you test.
Okay, now it's time for a board member response. Clerk Flintoff.
Thanks, Jillian. Yeah, just a brief factual response to Ryan Sweeney's comment regarding the potential capture of the fire. You stated, quote, that this capture happened. I just wanted to make clear that capture hasn't happened. That capture would happen beginning in the December 1st. Just to be clear on the status, because I know there'd been some questions about that in the past. Thank you.
Treasurer Yeaple.
Thank you. A couple of things. Thank you, everyone, for your comments. Thank you to my DDA colleagues for coming this evening and speaking. I certainly want to hear a lot more before we make any decisions about the DDA. So I do not intend to vote to abolish or remove the DDA tonight. And I do not believe that hopefully will come up as a motion. Certainly an option, certainly a discussion topic, but not something that's intended today. And I truly look forward to working through a way to support the fire department and support the DDA. Rob, to answer your question about performance reviews, those have just begun over the last couple of months internally. We had never, as you mentioned in your comment, we had never done those here before. So some of our managers and department heads are learning the experience themselves because they've never done it with their direct reports and they've never had their supervisor do it with them. So they're all becoming familiar with that process. I think we'll talk about it potentially in the item a little bit later in the agenda as far as when that'll be implemented in the process, or we may talk about it in a future meeting. Regarding the credit card request form, good catch. We reviewed that this afternoon. That part will be updated and come up again probably at a future meeting. The credit card policy itself is ready to go tonight, though. Mr. Ehrlich, welcome to Scio Township and welcome to coming to meetings. Hopefully, we don't go to 1 AM tonight. Thanks.
I add one thing based on the new information.
Sure.
I think that the new information is that the capture won't happen until December is all the more reason to put a pause on making some immediate decision, and it just underscores my wish to make sure that it goes to a public hearing before anything
Sure.
drastic happens.
I can quickly answer that question too. The reason why this conversation has been coming up in the last several months, the new fire station that's gonna be constructed down on Wagner Road, we're deep into the design process. It's actually coming before the planning commission here next week. And in order to meet some bonding deadlines, we need to have some more firm results and some firm answers on that here ideally by no later than the end of August. September, wrong month, but very soon. So certainly love to have a public hearing if we could make it possible. Thank you.
Okay. I guess not, okay. Rob Pattinson, you had a couple questions regarding garbage. If you don't mind, could we wait to answer those when we get to that item? Okay, and one other thing, you asked about the dioxane, the 6 more wells that were detected and some other, trustee Kathy Knoll, she is, the Gelman representative or card, and she's not here. So if that could wait till the next meeting? Okay, thank you. Okay, let's, approval of the minutes. So we have two sets of minutes. Start with J1, approval minutes of the July 8th, 2025 regular meeting, and then J2, special meeting minutes of July 15th. I did not see
I move minutes.
the first set.
You
Yeah, take
can
one
do
at
them
a time.
separately. I'll move the minutes of the regular meeting.
Support by riser.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes approved for July 8th. 6-0. Moving on to July 15th minutes, the special meeting. Any changes? Would you like to?
Oh, I'll move the minutes of the special meeting.
Or
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes, or minutes are approved, 6-0. On to consent agenda.
I move consent agenda as presented.
or
All in favor, say aye.
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 Consent agenda adopted. 6-0. Wow, it's a lot on there. Oh, wait a minute.
I just wanted, if it's passed, I want to, congratulations to the applicant for Wallace Developmental Conditional Land Use. I know you're here. And so.
Thank you. Congratulations and good luck.
With your business.
Yeah,
Yes.
good luck.
Good luck in your business.
Yes, good luck. It's, I drove by that the other day. It's quite a business going on there. And there's also the consideration of purchase of a conservation easement, and I believe Liz, you were here for that.
I was here for things.
Yes,
Yep,
that has passed.
No, I'm.
Okay, just so you're not sitting there waiting.
Liz knows what's up.
Okay, thank you. Okay, regular reports. I just have a couple brief items. Maple Foster Bridge. I attended the Washtenaw County Road Commission board meeting last week, and this is not going to be good news for the people in the area, but the Maple Foster Bridge, it's going to be 6 weeks for the, well, now 5 weeks for the engineer to determine what needs to be done. And then it will be months after that for it to be fixed, and they do not have a deadline. It was suggested that they're going to lower the tonnage from 20,000 to 6,000, yeah. So 20,000 would have allowed garbage trucks and buses and things like that, not fire trucks, that's too heavy. But it looks like it's gonna be lowered to 6,000, so that means many heavy vehicles will not be allowed over that bridge. They'll have to find other routes, and as you know, there's not very many routes to get to that side. The other thing is WCRC has began preparing for the Scio Church Zeeb roundabout. They acquired some easements for 3 properties, both in Scio and Lodi. So that is underway. We can expect that to happen within the next year, finish. And I think that's it. Let's see, who's, Clerk Flintoff, do you have anything?
Yeah,
Or
thanks. A couple items. I've got the upcoming items list. Just trying to keep track of things as people share them with me. I'm happy to add them. A couple things that are coming up. I know Jillian and the Roads Committee are working at some point this fall on a presentation on a,
potential road funding
okay,
option.
on potential road funding. Also related to money is, we will be hearing from AAA, TA and WAVE. Their contract renews on October 1. They are hitting state freezing or state funding cuts. We're going to be hearing more and more about the impact of our federal and state cuts across our service areas. So that's something the board is going to need to deal with soon. As everybody knows, we already have a deficit in the public transit fund that we expect to hit us in 4 or 5 years. So I want us to put some attention there. There is most likely going to be a special election on November 4th called by the WISD, just since we're talking about money here. The WISD has stated their intention to call for a special election. They haven't yet submitted the final paperwork to the county. They and any unit of government, including this one, has until 4 p.m. August 12th to do so. So for example, if this board were to decide to go back out to voters to ask for supplemental money to say build Fire Station 2, we would do that by August 12th, 4 p.m. for a November election. I'm not recommending that, but certainly explains why some of the other items are on the agenda tonight, because they're much more straightforward than going back out to voters. I will let you know for sure if that election is called. I've already coordinated with Christy to make sure we can come through on our obligations to carry out voting, even with the HVAC project going on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Treasurer Yipple?
Quick update. Thank you to everyone for paying their taxes. So far, we have over 750 payments. And the tax checking account has earned as much interest as it earned for all of 2024 as of today. So that's wonderful. It helps a little bit of the finance department. Certainly, one thing we didn't talk about was the budget amendments that were in the consent agenda. Those were things that happened in the first financial quarter. Those did negatively impact the general fund over $170,000 further into deficit. So just something to keep in mind. Thanks.
Thank you.
And I do just want to thank Rebecca for preparing
Yes.
those. And this board is on a schedule of quarterly budget amendments to help us stay on top of this.
Yep.
Christy Aiken, Office Coordinator, do you have anything?
I do not.
Okay. Departments or committees? Yes.
I have a brief update from the LPC. The parks didn't meet this week or last week, but we did meet with LPC. And part of that, out of that meeting came the purchase of the conservation easement we just approved. We also spoke again about the rescinding of the tax rebates by the State Treasury Department. And one of our residents is affected by that, and she has actually filed suit against the state against that. And she's working on language, I think, with our attorney to change her easement to put the necessary, although I don't want to, but puts the necessary language into her easement so she can get her money. But in the meantime, she's filing suit. So I don't think the easement language was ready for tonight, but we'd hope to get it on tonight's. But I guess we'll get it on our next meeting. I hope. That's all for me.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, I guess that's it.
I just make one comment about the technology.
Oh, sure.
I just wanted to make a quick announcement about meeting technology. For those of you viewing at home, you now have the option to simply click on our website and join the meeting at any time. The only reason why you need to join via Zoom is if you wish to make public comment or if you're a presenter. But if you're just watching from home, you can just click on from the website for the streaming option. Thank you.
Okay, interesting. Well, next is Huron River Watershed Council update presented by Bob Hyde. Hi, Bob.
Hello. So what do I have to do to be a presenter?
We don't know how to use the new
Zoom.
technology.
No, same as always.
Join by Zoom and you're a
Raise my hand
presenter.
and you'll-
Yep.
Are you
Yeah.
already out there on Zoom, Bob?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's exactly the same.
Presenter or
Yes.
panelist, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And then. Now you should be able to share your.
If I can figure out. Share there. Okay. Same as always. Okay. So we'll see how this goes. You all know me. Hi, I'm on the planning commission, and I was appointed to be the Huron River Watershed Council representative as well. Most of the people that are in the room know about the watershed, but the Watershed Council. However, for the public, this might be the first time, so I'm going back a little bit in saying what's going on. So as you can see, I've included a report and there are links there. So if anybody in the public wants to go to some of these links, they are welcome to download it off the agenda tonight. So let's see. Scio is a member of the Middle Huron Partners group, which you have approved the membership for tonight. Thank you. Yes?
Yes.
I saw you shaking your head, sorry.
We did.
So that was established to lower the phosphorus loadings and stormwater, share stormwater best management practices, and improve water quality in the Huron River watershed. So there's been a substantial improvement in water quality, and that's due to information sharing, and that's due to testing and finding sources. They have a lot of data on their websites, and these links will take you there. I'm going to see why I don't have all my links now. Probably because of sharing. So, anybody know the shortcut for going from tab to tab? Is it Alt? Alt
tab.
tab. Let's see if I can get there. No. That's not gonna work. See if I can.
Is that an apple?
Hmm,
I now have
Hello.
the tabs. I got, there's a menu at the top that I could not see, so.
Command tab.
So on their website, they have a link, they have a page that talks about the Middle Huron and how we're part of it, when they established it, and who all is involved in it, and what we've accomplished so far, including funding that they've shared with farmers to get them brought up to the latest practices, and we'll have to do this again. They have a chemistry and flow monitoring repository where they talk about all the things that they test for in the creeks, in the various creek sheds, which we have Mill Creek, Honey Creek, and Boyden Creek. If I'm getting all of them, I hope I am. So they test for phosphorus, suspended solids, bacteria, and oxygen, dissolved oxygen, the conductivity, which is a measure of the minerals that are suspended in the water, pH, temperature. So they monitor all this. Sorry, I have. And on that site that I provided the link for, there's also links for the dashboard, the water chemistry dashboard. And good, you can see all the test points. This is focused on Scio's area, Honey Creek and Mill Creek. And all the points in it where they monitor for the minerals and the E. coli, et cetera. And they've charted it over the years. I just happened to have pulled up Honey Creek at Wagner Road. You can select at West Delhi, and it will show you the different levels that have been there are different results that have been gathered over time. There's also another snapshot that you can look at, and these are all, well, here is a summary sheet that they produce that shows the south branch of Honey Creek, which if you look at this map down here, you'll see that we've got the main branch and then you've got the southern branch, and this particular one is looking at it as it enters the main branch. And you can see that we have an F for E. coli in Honey Creek because of runoff. Most of it is due to bovine bacteria. So you will find that either people are spreading manure for fertilizer or it's coming off the farmer's fields. It's probably both, but so we have practices that we've established. Planning Commission and the Board of Trustees goes by for setbacks from creeks and wetlands so that we don't get the runoff, but there's a ways to go. We still have work to do, and this is monitoring it for us. We don't have the same microinvertebrates, CMD, we don't have the quantity that would lead us to think that the stream is healthy. So overall, this is a slightly impacted result. A lot of things are good. That the E. coli fluctuates, it goes up, it goes down. So when this sampling was updated, which was January of 2020, that it was not, the E. coli was up. So let's go to Mill Creek. And this one was sampled in Dexter at the park. What is the park called? Mill Creek Park. So it actually is water that has come through from other townships through Scio Township and then into Dexter proper before the samples were made. And over the years, they have had similar problems with Mill Creek, but it's improving on E. coli. Let's go down here. They have, well, in this sample, sorry, it had an F as well. Mill Creek is getting better, but as I said, it will fluctuate up and down. Phosphorus was quite a bit higher, and that's probably farm application right there, so. We need to keep on top of what the watershed is monitoring and see what more we can do as a policymaker. Overall, it was a higher rating than Honey Creek, though, so and so you can get all this information on the website, on their website, and monitor it yourself. Okay, so that was the watershed quality, and I just wanted to say that the Watershed Council has historically gotten their funding from for their data gathering from federal and state grants, as well as private foundations, individuals, and the partners, like we're funding them partially. But grant money, as you know, is a serious issue right now, the availability of it. So we have to hope that they can keep finding grants. They've been turned down recently. I was just at their board meeting, and while they applied for 3 or 4 grants that they usually would expect to get 1 or 2 accepted, they got none in this first round of this year. So it's going to be tough for them to see how they get through. What does the Huron River Watershed Council do for us at the state level? Well, they have now a dedicated government liaison on staff, and he's working more directly with our state legislature, and they have been one of the ones that has been testifying at the state Senate committees for the polluter pay laws and trying to help push that through. It's going to be a tough go, but polluter pay has would be a way to get funding to clean up problems that we have. They are going to, the Watershed Council is going to be putting this letter out in their fall newsletter. So I don't know if people have already gone to the Watershed Council website, Huron River Watershed, hrwc.org, and you can sign up to get the newsletter sent right to your email, or they give a certain number out for the different partners to hand out to the public. So, but people can get it right off the website, and they talk about how they're it's important to get these polluter pay laws in place, because that would help us with cases like Tri-Bar Technologies in Wixom, where they have polluted our the Huron has PFAS contamination. And as we know, Gelman has dioxane contamination that is spreading toward the Huron, but it's right now, we're living with it. We've been living with it for a long time. And Ann Arbor Township is now living with it. It spread that far. It's going to be in the river, but it'll be diluted. But by the time it gets there, however, we're all living with it. We can't be on well water, some of us. So we all know about it, but they're helping follow that, and they're pushing the polluter pay laws to help clean that up. And we have to worry about what's going to happen with the EPA. They may be defunded, and then is it going to be back on the individual communities to clean it up? Is it going to be, or to make it known? How are we going to know about all these things? So we need people like the Watershed Council to be monitoring it and helping us with that. I just wanted to put this up. These are all the contamination sites along the Huron River, in the Huron River watershed. We're down here. I don't know if you can see where we are, but we have quite a few, and these include small ones. These involve gas station, underground tank leaks. These involve bigger things like we're finding along Dino Drive. That may be a hazard that proves to be large. We don't know yet. I know Kathy would be talking about it and not me, but she's been studying that. Okay, let me go back. Oops, I need to go back to my notes, my list. I'm trying to move along because I know you only wanted me to speak for 10 minutes, and I've already probably taken longer than that, but. Let's see. The planning commission has a couple of things that we are trying to do with Huron River Watershed Council. One thing that has come up is that the Watershed Council has a bioreserve map that we call out, Scio calls out in our open overlay district ordinance, which is, I'll just pull that up. Try to read it tonight, but in the open ordinance, this is in our muni codes. The overlay district is intended to encourage appropriate use of the land, and it's partially designated land that is recreation conservation, but it's also areas identified as priority 1 and 2 bioreserves by the Watershed Council. And these are lands and areas that are significant ecologically, and I want to go to their map. They're in the process of updating their map, and we want them to come in and present to the Planning Commission what their changes are. This is the map, and I've zoomed in so that from about where Dexter is in the upper left, almost in the upper left, down to the Sister Lakes down in the lower right. This is Scio Township, and all the priority 1 and 2 bioreserves that they have identified as being ecologically important. We then take, and in the overlay district, we've identified by a map that Carlisle Workman has produced, what those lands are that we're going to call part of our open overlay. It doesn't include all these areas that are green in this map, but most of them. So I wanted a discussion to take place with them to find out why they felt all those areas should be and what we should do about including maybe more, maybe less, just, so that's coming up. We need to get it scheduled, but we're not ready for that. As Jan and Laura are in the process of getting that on our schedule. And then there's one last thing. The Planning Commission and the Watershed Council are planning a green infrastructure workshop later this fall that would be a public workshop where the Scio residents and township officials, and that would include Planning Commission members, Board of Trustees, LPC, whoever you and we decide, we being the Planning Commission, decide would be the most appropriate people to be involved. And at the workshop, Scio residents and township officials would study the maps that Huron Watershed Council has, what we have already in place. Scio has a lot of work done on this already. We're at the head of the curve, but we have not had one of their workshops where they find our loophole, find our holes that they can help us plug. It looks at our master plan, our land uses that we call out, and looks for ways to incorporate their plan that we work out together for Scio into the master plan, into our policies, and into our ordinances. What do we need to do? What would they recommend? So that's for later this fall, and that's also going to be scheduled.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
I do have a question. Has there been any talk about deregulation at the national level, down at the Huron River Watershed Council regarding any deregulation conversations?
Well, I'm not quite sure what would be deregulated, really what not the watershed council.
No,
We-
just, less laws regarding pollution or,
I think that's being considered that they would, workplace, regulations are currently under consideration being changed. And so with the EPA being defunded, I don't know what you want to call it. This is scale, yeah, that's right. Scale down, scale back. What's going to happen to those regulations? They aren't going to get new ones. They had a whole environmental group that studied the effects of new pollutants on humans and on animals and on, so that's, I think they laid everybody off and transferred it out. Not voting off the EPA's. That's not coming from the watershed council, that's.
right.
Things that are out there.
It just puts more of a burden. And then if we're aware of if there are any more deregulations or talk of that, possibly preparing, I don't know how we would be able to do that, but it's a shame.
Yeah, so environmentally, I think the watershed council will help keep us informed. But we're also, we have CARD is keeping us informed on that, and so Kathy's following that for us, and thank goodness for CARD being involved, so it's keeping the public aware. Other questions?
Thank you, Bob. I just want to thank you also for being our liaison and coming to regularly report. We really appreciate it. I just want to say, as you know, the federal government is disbanded in this area. I think we're going to have to increasingly rely on mission-based extra-governmental organizations like the Huron River Watershed Council. We just approved on our consent agenda a total of $17,752.65. I would ask that as their budget conversations continue, that you please keep us apprised so that we can budget for any additional asks that they may have of local partners. I'll just speak for myself. I would be supportive of that. Certainly, we're going to need to rely on the Watershed Council for reliable information, advice, policymaking, more and more. I'd also remind the board that September 9th is the date that we tentatively slated for our next update on the PFAS presentation. I know we'll wait to confer with Trustee Knoll, but would ask that you and the Watershed Council, if you might be available September 9th. We had one presentation on PFAS. We said we would follow up on the two sites on Dino Drive and what's it called? The old Chrysler site. Yeah. And
September 9th?
yeah, September 9th is the date that we set for that tentatively. And that's all. Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, for your
Anybody else?
presentation.
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, on to unfinished business. N1, possible action, next steps regarding offer of agreement to Downtown Development Authority to share captured assessed value of millages for parks, fire, public transit, and open space preservation, along with the other attachments that were included last Friday.
Thank you, Jillian. This is a follow-up from the last meeting. The background is extensive with the financial analyses here, but just a quick refresher. The board discussed this item. We've been discussing this internally for 4 months. We identified this issue back in, I think, maybe September 2024, before it was even on the ballot, that there was some vulnerability and a possibility that the DDA could in fact lay claim to capture the new fire millage up for debate. When the new board came on, we all got up to speed, looked at different strategies internally for 5 months. We've been talking about the voluntary agreement. Thank you, Mariah, brought it to the board. That seemed to be the easiest path forward, and the board designated trustees Brandt and Reed to make that offer and begin discussions with the DDA, and I'll turn it over to them for an update.
Who wants to go?
Sure, I'll just review the notes from our meeting with the DDA. We had requested in advance to be placed on the DDA agenda, that this was only placed on the agenda during the meeting itself. We were not allowed to have content uploaded to the packet, and maybe that was a timing issue. We did share with the DDA 3 documents that outline some of these impacts. One was the DDA's approved budget. Another document was the financial projections of the impact to the DDA if they do return the 4 millages, fire, transportation, parks, and LPC for the next 12 years. And then finally, we did distribute an agreement between Scio Township and the DDA to return those 4 millage funds dedicated to the 4 specific funds. We also explained the reasons the voters approved the 2.7 fire millage was intended as a special assessment, not subject to DDA capture. We did get quite a bit of pushback from Jeff Hershey. He stated he believes the ballot language was not a mistake, and the voters directed the fire millage revenue to go to the DDA. He suggested if this was a mistake, then this should go back to the voters to fix the mistake in the ballot language. He never affirmed the purpose of the ballot was intended to build out fire department's 2nd fire station, including fire operations. Guts Butsikakis stated the DDA can only commit funds to things within the DDA's mission, and they will discuss this with their attorney. There was a reading of the actual budget ballot language, which details the uses for the 2nd fire station and does not include language regarding the DDA capture. There was a statement from the chair that he supports contributing something to fire and thinks the entire DDA will support this. No other comments regarding supporting the other 3 millages. The DDA did agree to further discuss this topic quickly and set a meeting for July 28th to continue this discussion. In total, we were given 17 minutes to present the request. We did not have time to go through the agreement itself. And based on that, we have 4 options. These are not propositions. These are options. One, which would be the most beneficial, get a signed agreement before mid-August, which we have talked about the bonding for the 2nd fire station set in September. Another option would be to cancel the Fire Station 2 project, which the voters voted on. Third option is go back to the voters to increase the millage to cover the approximately $6 million the DDA will capture for fire over the life of that millage. And finally, another option is to abolish the DDA.
Trustee Reed, do you have anything to include?
Yes, we asked the DDA if they would have a special meeting, and they did agree to have a special meeting on the 28th. And I see today the agenda has been posted for that meeting, and we are not on that. We are not on that agenda. It was kind of disappointing me. I would hope that we could have spent that meeting talking about the information that Linda has put up here on the board. I think this is very good, a lot of information there. But there's other information too that we could share back and forth. But since we're not on the agenda, I don't think we're going to have a chance to talk about this. But it would be good if the DDA board and perhaps the Board of Trustees got in one room and sat down and talked about this. But looks like apparently that's not going to happen. So I'm quite disappointed.
Actually, I did post the DDA agenda, and then prior to the meeting started, Gus brought in another agenda. I didn't read it. And I told him I already posted it. And when he looked at it, we went in my office and looked at it online and he said, no, that's not the one. Do this one. So it's on my desk. I'll put it up in the morning. I didn't have time to check because it was 5 to 7
Okay,
to see what the differences were in the agenda.
Christie, who
So-
gave you that original?
Do you
I
mind-
would have to look.
Do you mind
at the-
grabbing what's on your desk?
No, I can do that.
Thanks, Chrissy.
I don't remember if it was Linda or Gus. I don't recall. Thank you.
Gus.
Okay. And he asked me to post it, so I did, and then.
Okay,
but one thing I would like to know is Jay and Gus and Linda, everyone spoke about the history from 1888 up till very recently. But what I'd like to know is what's gonna happen in the next 5 years. You've got $5 million in cash with a projected cash balance, if the expenses stay the same, a projected cash balance of 14 million by 2031, 32. So I'm just wondering, do you have a capital improvement plan? Do you have a plan for that money? I mean, I see there's 500,000, I think you have up on the other side for other projects. But that's a far cry from the 5 million you have in cash in the bank right now. So I, for one, would like to know what that money's gonna be used for. And I'm sure all the taxpayers do too, because that's the taxpayers' money. That's Scio Township's money. Yours as well as Gus's. And I think we need to know what's gonna happen with that money. Thank you. Thank you for being here, by the way.
Linda. I'm sure.
Yeah, I want to thank Kathleen and David for attempting this agreement. Hopefully there's progress. I tuned in to part of the DDA meeting and, kind of thought I was, I mean, first of all, I want to thank Linda and Gus and Jay and everybody who does a very good job. And Linda, you in particular are always so committed on all the committees. So thank you for your service. I will say that after that meeting, I started thinking, okay, what are options? And David and I were chatting in the room here, like, well, gosh, going back to voters and saying, hey, after this was placed on the ballot, an ambiguity in the legal language was pointed out. And now our DDA might lay claim to it. We might have to go back out by August 12th at 4 p.m. for a special election in November 2025. So if you could describe kind of the last thing I would want to do, that's it. That's it. It would probably fail. It would be wrong to do that to voters. There's not even a legal opinion that states definitively that the DDA has claim to this. I don't want to spend a lot of legal fees having the township funded township attorney fight with the township funded DDA attorney, for one. So that's off the table for me. And back to, we've talked about this kind of separate question about what is the purpose of the DDA. And it's come up, and I think it's been kind of a policy question we need to bring up, and I'm glad we're starting to talk about it tonight. I will just say by the numbers, in terms of, every year we do our audit. We'll have it again in 2 weeks. The township general government activities, that's open space, parks, fire, general fund, bus, roads, everything we do except water and sewer, we deliver about $10 million worth of services a year. 10 million a year, that's last fiscal year. The DDA delivers about $1 million of services, yet the township captures just less than twice as many taxes. So you look at this and the amount of property taxes that the DDA captures, because it's a full 50% for a very, well-developed area. $5 million in the bank, 2.3 million bonds outstanding. We have twice as much to pay them off today if there were not the prepaid penalty. And aside from that, when we look at the purpose of the DDA, it is, as our township attorney drafted, thank you, Mariah, included a memo to the board and all of you have this online, as well as what the ordinance would be, because it was the board, not the voters. The voters never created a DDA. It was this board who created a DDA. It is by ordinance that this board would repeal the DDA, and it is about its purpose, right? It's not about the fire station. It's not about the 50% capture of the funding. I don't even think of it as an either or. I think of this as starting a discussion about this really important policy question about, do we still need this DDA in its current forms? We have supported the commercial redevelopment district at 300 North Seab. We have potential TIFs coming in. The state now has TIFs available to do affordable housing. We may need to get radically creative with TIFs in order to finance some other things. And so I, for one, would like this board to develop a really thoughtful economic development strategy that might involve different TIFs. The purpose of the DDA was, as set forth in our ordinance, was to develop the boulevard, which is an incredible accomplishment, and to deal with the polluted water and put in the water and sewer system. That is done. And so I would just say to this board, I think it's, worth our gathering the information we need, but knowing that if we were to repeal the DDA, there are several other TIFs we could afford to do. I would also note that money that quote unquote goes away to the township, I think of it differently. It goes exactly to the places I voted for it to go to. It goes to the library, it goes to the mental health millage, it goes to the older persons village, it goes to the WCCC. So I feel very, very good about that. There is no additional money beyond what voters voted for. It would just be this board deciding not to divert that money from the voter intended purposes.
Another comment?
You've already spoken, so if trustee Riser has, as per our rules of order.
That was part of the presentation.
Trustee Riser, do you have
No,
anything?
I don't mind if she speaks because she did give a presentation along with
As I did.
David. And I don't mind, whatever you wanna do. Julie.
Do you have anything to say?
I'm not prepared to vote for the last option tonight, abolish the EDA effective immediately. I think cancel the fire station 2 project seems a little. Sky is falling. Get a signed agreement before mid-August. I don't think going back to the voters to increase, I don't know that we had to ask for them to return all 4 million. Maybe we should have just started out with fire, how much is the fire gonna be? I don't know.
It's in your packet.
No, I've got it all planned out front of me, but, I'm not gonna vote to abolish the DDA effective immediately.
We don't have a motion on the table.
And I don't know what the motion is going to be. I would hope that there could be continued discussions, that lines aren't drawn too firmly in the sand, that, we might change what we're asking for at least this juncture to develop a better relationships and trust among the parties. I don't know, that's all I have to say. I'm sure they want to help us with I'm not sure, but from reading the note said that they spoke in favor of assisting with the fire department, the second station. At least some of the DDA board does, so. Thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Treasurer Yeaple.
Thank you. So I had additional conversations with several DDA members, and I appreciate all the DDA members that were able to come here tonight. I've been on the DDA board now for, I believe, 3 years, if I'm remembering correctly. And just some of the history that the DDA has done in the community. Certainly, I understand some of the financial side of it and some of the comments made by others about the purpose of the DDA. I think that's a great conversation to have. I think that's a continued conversation we need to have with likely a joint meeting of both boards to come to a conclusion on. I know the DDA has a desire to continue and do good work. And I know the township has a lot of good ideas and good questions, and we just need to see where we come to an agreement on it. I will say that I did see the copy that the chair gave to Oscar Aiken to post on the website. The agenda, it does include a discussion about the captures. I think that that is the best path forward at this point. That's next Monday at 11:30 a.m. I'll send out a reminder email either here tonight or tomorrow morning to everybody that wasn't here to include the entire DDA list, just to make sure everyone's aware of the meeting. And ultimately, I think that's the best path forward at this point, is to see where we land by our next meeting, see where we have a response from the various members of the DDA, and see if the DDA has consensus to reach an agreement at a minimum on fire and hopefully everything. Certainly there could be compromise. But appreciate everybody's continued work, especially Trustee Brandt and Trustee Reed. Yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Well, I have some, so it was requested to be on the DDA agenda. Who was that sent to? The request for the last meeting? Was that emailed to Gus?
Talking about.
No, the last meeting for the DDA. What was that, the 13th? 14th. Yeah, so there was a request for this to be placed on the DDA agenda.
I asked Gus to do that.
Did you emailed it to him?
No,
Yes,
yes.
Do you know the email address? Which one you sent it to?
the same one that is on the DDA site. It is his address.
Okay, so the DDA chair at Scio Township, mi.gov.
No, it was his personal email.
Oh, his personal, okay, because I asked him and he said he never received that and that he would have been open to having that on. So that's where I think there's some miscommunication here, and to come out with guns blazing that this was not on. And there was 17 minutes for public comments, which, you know, it would have been nice to have it on the agenda. But I think that there's some animosity that is being, you know, created. And anyways, also, David, we do have a capital improvement plan for the DDA, and this is the first year that we've done that, because in the past there was other people doing that for years. So the DDA worked together to create a capital improvement plan and also a budget. It went to the board removed line by line and then threw it back. So without discussion, and I think that working with the DDA, this is kind of we have some new members and it's a new term. And we were trying to get our feet on the ground, and I thought that we were starting to get traction. And I believe that the DDA, it does bring in a lot of money, and we have some bonds that need to be paid off. And yes, we could dissolve the DDA. However, I keep hearing over and over again about the federal and state and how they don't have the money, or we're not going to have the money. But we have an opportunity to help Scio Township, especially in the Jackson Road corridor. And we keep talking about REUs. We're running out of REUs. What's the plan for REUs? And this is an opportunity where we have this money that could possibly go to more REUs and expanding the water and sewer, especially along this area. So we could, some of the plans that have been coming up regarding the Jackson Road Overlay District is to have more dense housing, and we're going to need the REUs for that. Also, there's other opportunities to expand water and sewer. We need loops and whatnot. And I believe that the DDA would be open to helping with all of all of those different ideas. And there's other ideas to beautify Jackson Road. So we do, I just feel that if let's just dissolve the DDA. Well, and the way it's gone about it, because we are being viewed, and not just by our residents, but also developers and others, that if we're strong arming people and pushing them into doing things in our committees, and also that could spill over to other things, and that's really gonna hurt Scio Township. I would like to see more collaboration and conversation and middle ground without the animosity created. And there was one other thing here. Sewer. Hmm. And I'm a little surprised that this was created in between. As we know, the DDA was going to have a special meeting, which we had planned on July 28th at 11:30, as Treasurer Gable said. And then we had this presenting to the DDA, and then all of a sudden we have this in between, and then here's the outcome: you give us the money, or we're going to demolish or abolish you. And there's other options here too, but it just seems, like a strong arm move, and it just doesn't sit right. If we're gonna be known as Scio Township as a township of compassion, we need to start doing this with our committees and just the way we go about things. Clerk Flintoff.
Yes, I'd like to appeal the decision of the chair under Rule 10.5.4, the decision to not permit Trustee Brandt to speak, and appeal that decision and ask that Trustee Brandt be allowed to speak.
Well, we all, according to our rules.
On all appeals, the question shall be, quote, shall the decision of the chair stand as the judgment of the township board?
It's the rules of order, and we each get one time to speak
Appeal
before somebody else
shall be
speaks. So
debatable,
now,
except
Trustee Brandt, you may speak.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That is
You're very welcome.
your own unique interpretation of rules of order. I concur with Clerk Flintoff regarding that. Couple of items. Mr. Reiser, you said that you're not necessarily in agreement with returning all 4 of these millages, but you voted for it. You voted for the agreement. So I don't understand why you're saying that now, because you voted for it. Another point that is really important, the second fire station will not be built unless we have this contribution. It will not happen. That is the opinion of our interim finance director. We would not go for bonding if we don't get this commitment. So this is not, this is a very serious issue. That's why one of the options is to go back to the voters. Because if we get turned down by the DDA, then we may have to cancel that whole project. Or we spend more money and go back to the voters to ask for additional money for the fire station, which probably would not pass. And I was told by a DDA member that he thinks there was no mistake and the money's supposed to go to the DDA, and that he encouraged us to go back to the voters. So when you see 4 options, it's really driven by some of the interactions that occurred. Also, the person that writes an agenda item is not wholly responsible for that item. It's very disingenuous to start making statements that the clerk writes these agenda items. She collaborates with people. It is totally disingenuous to say that the clerk is trying to take over. That is absurd. That's ludicrous. Yes, someone has said that. It's in your packet, John. So this needs discussion. This is what happens when parties start talking about options. There's nothing nefarious here. This is what the township needs to be discussing.
I guess, because someone said that, is that in the N1 material?
Excuse me.
I'm sorry, I yield.
Okay, have we finished? Everybody's had their one chance according to 5.4 limitations on speaking, and now we're going around again. Oh, great. Trustee Reed?
I just want to reinforce what Kathleen just said. During the planning process for fire station number 2, the finance people ran the numbers and we needed X amount of money to be able to go out to get the bond. And that X amount of money, because the bond will be a payment of the bond will be $1.5 million a year. And we crafted the millage based on those numbers, not expecting the DDA to do their capture, and their capture happens this year, I think, to be $498,000. And each year it'll go up, and at the end, it'll be over $700,000. And I think throughout the 12-year process, it'll be just short of 7 million, I think, over that period. But the fact that we're not getting the 498,000, whatever it is, the first year, we will not be able to make our first bond payment. So our option is to cancel the fire station. Go back to the voters, which I don't think anybody has any dreams that it'll actually pass. The summer millage, people aren't around. It's another millage. People don't like it. So our best option is to come to an agreement, to negotiate an agreement. And I think we need to talk about that. And thank you for putting us on the agenda for the 28th. Like I said, I was very disappointed, but obviously we got the wrong copy of the agenda. So I'm looking forward to the meeting on the 28th, although I think we're going to need more than 17 minutes, quite frankly. So, but I appreciate it. And again, thank you for being here. I'm sorry the other folks aren't here.
Clerk Flintoff.
Sure thing. I look forward to continuing the conversation about dissolving the DDA at a future board meeting. It's been, a confluence of things. We've known that we have a DDA that is not as effective as it could be, that there are cash reserves they are collecting more money than is needed by any measure. And we know that we have other tools available. We've got good people on the DDA, but at the township, we have the infrastructure, we have professional staff, and we need to operate as efficiently as possible to carry out our missions. I believe in the libraries. I believe in the older person's millage. I believe in the mental health millage. All of these things, I mean, think about it, the mental health and public safety millage, the more money goes to that, the smaller our contract with the sheriff is. I mean, this all comes back. This is all of our money too. So I would just want to correct any notion that the DDA brings in extra money. It's all taxpayer money that we voted for particular millages. Dissolving the DDA is a practical option. I appreciate that people are personally invested, but would assure people it is not a personal thing. This is about what's best for residents and policymakers and how we can effectively leverage our resources. I'm very interested in doing more TIFs of various kinds around the township. I believe that this particular TIF has served its purpose and have included a preliminary analysis The background from our attorney, the analysis from the interim finance director certainly have flagged in our audit, figures. But if anybody has any questions, more information that I can find or provide, happy to do so for a future board meeting. Thank you.
Treasurer or trustee, or trustee Riser, do you have anything?
We're kind of crapping on the EDA, and yet we're surprised when they don't want to open their pocketbook or checkbook and give us the money or else. I mean, it appears to be pretty heavy handed. I hope we get a signed agreement before mid-August, but like, I hope we don't have to vote tonight to cancel the fire station. I'm not gonna support that. I'm not gonna support this juncture going back to the voters. I'm not gonna vote to abolish the DDA effective immediately. Maybe the DDA's mission can change with we amend the ordinance that talks more about development, or we talk more about housing, we talk, maybe, kind of moving from, car dealerships to mixed retail, more of a variety there, more bus stops and bikes and pedestrian, kind of change it to a more downtown-ish kind of thing, and maybe it's instead of a 50% capture, it's something else, but it just seems like an awkward negotiation. And maybe yes, while I voted for seeking that agreement, maybe we don't need to start with all four. Maybe if our money grab was less, they might be more amenable. Yeah, it seems like gone to the head negotiation, but I await whatever motion befalls us, and then I'll vote on it accordingly.
Treasurer Yeaple, do you have anything?
No, I was going to make a motion if we're ready to table this until our next meeting.
Well, I have one other, okay, Treasurer Yeaple, you are the vice chair of the DDA.
Correct.
Could you please help Gus create the agenda, whatever he needs to make sure that the information from Kathleen Brandt and also David Reed is included?
Sure.
Okay, and also, we have not, as a DDA, had a conversation about this agreement or this request. So I think that this is just a little, ahead of itself. And I would like to have a conversation with the DDA members to see where they are. And I think that most of them are open. And yes, we had one member that spoke out, which is his opinion, which he is allowed to have, but he's not speaking for the whole DDA. So I feel that this needs, whatever the idea tonight for this possible action is tabled until we are able to have a conversation as a DDA and also a presentation. Sure.
And Ryan, I would support a motion to table this to our next regular meeting. However, I just want to note, by so doing, this board would be taking off the table, putting any proposal to voters. Because that deadline is August 12th at 4 p.m. And so, so I just want to be very, very clear, unless we schedule a special meeting or something, by delaying any next step on this until August 12th at 7 p.m. We will have missed the legal deadline to put a proposal on a November 2025 ballot in order to get an additional December 1 levy. So I just want to be clear, I'm fine with that, but I just want to say tabling is making a decision to reduce our options.
Yeah, I understand that.
Okay, thank you.
I was gonna say, is there anyone here who believes it's tenable to go back to voters? I appreciate the comment though about the reducing of the options. But yeah, that's why I laid the question on the table. If anyone here feels like it's an option in all due circumstance to go back to the voters, speak now. because I don't think it's realistic.
It's almost August. The election is, be in November, right? But it has to be done by, or has to be filed by August. 4th.
August 12th at 4 PM. Our meeting is August 12th at 7 PM.
So that gives us, 2.5 months, roughly, not even 3 months, because, well, there's just not enough time to get the publicity out, to get the flyers out, to get the public hearing, or excuse me, the public meetings. I mean, we did all that the last time, and I think what was it, 70-30, it passed?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was with 6 or more months of working the ground. And we have less than half of that now. So I can't see how a proposal to increase an already, many people feel an already too high budget for the fire department. And based on the fact that it was supposed to not include the DDA capture and I think so, if we don't have the election, then we have 3 options. The best one, of course, is an agreement. That's what we should all be looking at. The worst one is canceling the fire department, quite frankly, because we desperately need the fire department, so.
They can't, what are we postponing?
Well, John, the way that the fire projections we've had from the interim finance director from the gate have all planned on this additional nearly $500,000 that the DDA may or may not have claimed to capture here. And so what it would mean is we could decide to recklessly go forth with bonding without enough money to pay for it. I will not support that. Ryan and I have talked. He will not support that. Our interim finance director has said, don't you dare. And he's right. So we've already taken a lot of the apparatus and vehicles out of it to get it down to the 2.7. We've already reduced the footprint as much as we can. I've double checked with the architect and the chief and the finance director. So it would be a matter of, we don't have enough money. So until we identify more money, I don't believe it would be responsible to go out to bond. We can't start building if we don't bond. So it certainly doesn't, we could certainly say, yes, the DDA, we're gonna agree with their claim that they can capture this and go find $500,000 somewhere else, but there's nowhere else that I can find, John. So it really is indefinite postponement of Fire Station 2, because as far as we've been able to investigate, and again, we've talked about this internally since the fall. We've talked about this agreement, internally at our attorney meetings for 3 or 4 months. I mean, we're doing the best we can to chase down all options, but all the options are, in my mind, much more extreme than passing an ordinance to repeal DDA, because I personally am not willing, John, to not proceed with Fire Station 2, which is the promise we've made to voters.
I would like to thank Linda Smith for engaging and giving us very detailed information. That's the kind of input that I appreciate. That's what I tried to do as a resident. Gus has indicated support for the fire station or for returning that. He said it during his meeting, and I look forward to working with you guys.
Yes, thank you, Linda. Okay,
Thanks for sticking it out.
what was that? I'm sorry.
Thanks for sticking it out here at the meeting with us.
So I'd make a motion to table this item to our next meeting, August 12th, 7 PM.
Support.
Get that support by Treasurer Eagle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? None. Motion passes 6-0. Thank you. Okay, okay, oh, yes, hey.
Good evening.
You were faster than I could find my, the agenda item on the. Yeah, this is a new business, 01, possible action, discussion, adoption of compensation and classification study. And thank you, Aurora, our HR manager. And you passed out.
Yes, I handed out, there was one in the packet, but then I handed out, for the board a revision to the proposed effective date, salary and grades and step schedules. So to give just a little background, on July eighth, Jeff Romberg from Romberg, Stover and Associates presented to the Board of Trustees the salary compensation study and an implementation recommendation to the township was proposed in that presentation with the salary structure, placing staff in the grade aligned with his or her position and on the step closest to, but not less than, the current salary level. And this is what I'm proposing here with an exception. So the exception is to the utilities director position, where that would be increased by 2 steps rather than 1, based on the percent of midpoint that we're trying to get to, which is we want to be about 100% at the least of midpoint in terms of being competitive with our wages. Are there any questions on that or? So the step, I didn't indicate the step, it would move the utilities director from the proposed grade 9 to step 7. Rather than 6.
Oh, okay.
And there are a number of employees that, based on the salary structure and grade levels that Mr. Romberg indicated, that are either around maximum, at maximum, or above. And I indicated that on the spreadsheet in red letters. There are 3 other exceptions regarding increasing the pay. This is based on, there are 3 positions that have an anniversary upcoming in August. So I'm proposing moving them up to 1 step, July 12th, and then the next step on their anniversary date in August. And this would be the Parks Director, the finance assistant, and the IT specialist. In addition, the Parks Director, based on the percentage of midpoint to get that salary to at least 100%, was moved to step 7, proposal of 7. The anniversary date effective in August, moving to step 8.
What was that last one again? I'm sorry, I'm looking at your sheet at the same time, trying
That's
to,
okay. The Parks Director role.
you said step 7 and then on anniversary would be step 8.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. And then you have the fire chief highlighted as well, or is that's a different,
And actually, that one would go to the very next step. So that one is fine.
okay.
So the very next step closest to the current salary.
Okay. Are there any comments or questions? Hey, who's, somebody you looked over there.
I didn't know where you were starting.
Oh,
I'm sure everybody has
Okay.
comments and questions.
trustee Riser, should we start with you?
No, we should.
Okay, then we'll start with trustee Reed.
I have nothing at this time.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Clerk Flintoff?
Sure.
I first want to thank Aurora, and I know also our management liaison, Ryan, and office coordinator, Christy, spent a lot of time, but Aurora, thank you for this. I just also want to note, I know a lot of untrue things are said during public comment, but in regards to your own position, being reflected on this, I just want to say you have the utmost integrity in everything you do, and so just want to clear that up. Sure thing. Generally speaking, I want to say this is a long time coming for Scio. I've spent a lot of time with these numbers. And what a classification schedule does, the policy implications for this are many, and would imagine that we would have to, maybe at our next meeting, adopt some of those refined policies. I really want to say that what this goes to is trying to make sure that we're competitive with the market. That's something Scio's never done before. And there are some changes, and you see some of those changes and the impacts, particularly with when you look at people who are redlined or red circled, and the meaning of that. Scio Township for a long time had a system that incentivized longevity over market competitiveness. And so this system, just to be explicit, would prioritize being competitive with the market more than longevity, incentivizing longevity. And so I'm very supportive of this because we always want to be a great employer, and pay enough to attract great talent and provide opportunities for people to promote. I would also say that, I think about this in kind of two steps. First, I think about the grades. And I'm supportive of the grades that are proposed. I want to be clear that this doesn't affect reporting structure. We have people in different grades who report to the board. It's not that all the 8s report to 9s, report to 10. It also doesn't reflect span of control or number of reports. You look at the fire chief, a 24-hour operation, more staff, more critical infrastructure. It also doesn't reflect who's a critical infrastructure worker or an essential worker. This is just about the market. And I know this goes without saying, but I do want to say it because we're such a small organization. None of this has to do with the person in the position or performance. Whether somebody's a high, low, or medium performer, that has nothing to do with this. This is about the position and the comps and the market. So I'm very supportive of the grades. I'm supportive of the Appendix H, the salary structure with position placements. And I'm supportive of Appendix G, which would commit us to 10 grades with 12 steps. There would not be created a 13th step. I want to be clear about what being redlined would mean. And we would have to have discipline in following this going forward in order to deal with internal equity and to remain competitive. So just want to make sure that the board, if we commit to this, that we don't try to change paradigms in a year or two. We would be committing to this for the foreseeable future. Thank you.
Treasurer Yable.
Thank you. I appreciate all of the work that has been done on this, certainly by Aurora, Romberg, Christy, and myself. We've gotten a lot done. There is a lot of steps yet to probably be taken as far as implementation and I'm looking forward to the several steps. One of the steps we will have to do is implement adopting the schedule itself, and then adopting the placement of staff into the salary grade and step. We also do have some work in the future to do. The deputy treasurer and deputy clerk were specifically not included in this process. So it's a piece we have to do as far as how we integrate those positions. To Rob's comment, there was data that was obtained by Romberg for the fire positions. That wasn't necessarily apples for apples. A lot of that has to do with some differences in how different departments pay and have their pay structured. So it makes it a lot harder to compare to, especially with the uniqueness of the firefighting industry. Comparatively to a lot of our positions, which are more focused around a 40-hour work week. So it wasn't data that was necessarily as applicable as this data was. Do look forward to probably a couple more meetings where I have a couple more steps and you'll make that. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Brandt?
Yes, Aurora, thank you. And certainly you should not be singled out as an individual in this structure. Of course, you should be included in the structure, and I appreciate the work that you have done in our doing. I greatly appreciate that. The nuance of the methodology, I might have myself added a little more nuance. And I mentioned this when Mr. Romberg was here. I would have, instead of going just for the median in assigning that salary, I myself would have liked some consideration for experience level for some of these people, as well as education level. You know, I do my own research and look at what some of these jobs other municipalities are looking at. And some of these specifically ask for a bachelor's degree. But I appreciate all the work. I'm sure we will get there, and I'm supportive. Thank you.
Trustee Riser?
Thank you for all the work on this. Thank you for the graphs, the data, your work with the Romberg, all the appendices. You know, very helpful.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Aurora.
I'm ready now. I'm ready now.
Yes. Right.
Thank you again. Of course, thank you for this work. But Clerk Flintoff just mentioned something about this is nothing to do with performance or experience. This is just equity. So I guess my question is, when do we start rewarding performance and experience, as Kathleen said, and education? That's the thing that's bothering me.
Certainly, that is something that I'm hoping the board will come to an agreement on, because we definitely need a date to implement it. I think it was Treasurer Yapel that mentioned we just started a couple months ago, the performance review. So that's our very first one. So that process is 6 months, which would last through December 31st, but it does not have a performance wage increase attached to it. Basically, it was to get the management and everyone, the staff, used to doing a performance review. Some individuals had never even seen one. So we have at least this one process to get through, and then the board to decide on if on the next process or at what point do we want to start implementing a wage increase tied to that performance review.
Okay, thank you.
Flintoff?
Yes, and I would just ask, Aurora, if you could come back to the next meeting with maybe a proposed policy for how and when we, one, do the market-based adjustment, if that might be in October. Two, implement performance-based step increases, when that would be implemented and how. Three, if we would abolish COLA. And I think we probably would move away from COLA for this scheme. And four, how longevity pay will be considered. I imagine we might continue it. It's $100 a year. And five, I want to have absolute clarity about what that means for folks who are redlined, where the market-based adjustment does not apply, where performance would not result in a step increase. Then will our policy be that they receive the longevity? Or is there another proposal? I think that is along the lines of what Romberg said is the norm, I know is the norm in the county, kind of a nominal flat number.
One consideration, correct? If there isn't a market-based increase or an increase because they are at the maximum, a lump sum is sometimes given.
Because I appreciate, and I know in Rob's opening public comment, he talked about, you know, we all care a lot about internal equity, identifying the positions that where the salaries need to be increased. But then there's also the other end of it. Certainly, we're not decreasing any salaries, but there are some salaries that will now be redlined.
Any other questions? Is there a motion? You wanna?
So I had a question. I was thinking about this a little bit more. We could adopt the model motion. Or I was thinking a little bit back to process. If we wanted to first adopt appendix H and G from the presentation on July 8th, 2025. Report by Ron Stover, that would allow us to have the framework to then adopt a model motion.
My thought almost exactly, Brian.
Okay.
I was also gonna suggest that we that we first adopt appendix H and G, but the ones that are handed out here by or are these one and the same?
They're one of the same, however, the ones from today that were the handouts are final. The previous one had draft on it.
But let me give this a shot to adopt appendix H and G. From the Ron Stover presentation on July 8th, 2025. And to place staff in the grade and steps as indicated on the chart prepared by Human Resources Manager Northrop today, July 22nd, 2025. To be effective July 12th, 2025, which is the start of our pay period.
I believe the charts from July 8th are different than the charts before us tonight, Ryan. G and H.
Excuse me, that's correct.
Okay.
I had two changes. The assistant assessor to grade 4, and then the office coordinator role to a grade 5. So
Okay.
those two were, that's correct.
Let me try it one more time then. To adopt appendix H and G as presented today. And to place staff in the grading steps as indicated on the chart prepared by the Human Resources Manager. With the pay adjustments effective July 12th, 2025.
I would make a request to split the motion.
Okay.
If you would be open to it, Ryan. If we could first adopt H and G and then have a second motion regarding placement of staff.
Okay. To adopt appendix H and G as presented by Human Resources Manager.
Is there support?
Support.
I'm sorry. All in favor, say aye.
Could we do a roll call vote, please?
Sure. Go ahead.
Okay, per our rules of order, tonight we're starting with Reed. Reed,
Yes.
Riser?
Yes.
Carrie?
Yes.
Yeaple?
Yes.
Flintoff, yes. Brandt?
Yes.
Motion adopted 6-0.
Okay, second.
And motion to place staff in the grade and steps as indicated on the chart prepared by Human Resources Manager Northrop and make pay effective July 12th, 2025, unless otherwise noted.
Say that again.
What do you mean unless otherwise
There's
noted?
other notations on here. That's why I want to make that statement, but if it's moot, let me know. I
Well,
can just read it without that.
could
Aren't
it,
the notes on here?
well, so it's just the five,
There's three that will be getting a second increase on their anniversary.
That's why I made that statement, but I'm happy to amend it.
Oh, I see, Ryan. Ryan, I understand what you're saying. Could we just include, maybe say something inclusive of the notes on the proposal?
Okay. Okay, to place staff of the grades and steps as indicated on the chart prepared by Human Resources Manager Northrop, effective July 12th, 2025, inclusive of notations on the document.
Support.
The notations are regarding anniversary raises.
Correct,
COLA raises, yeah.
correct.
wait a minute,
Column all the way to the right, except for the next to the last column on the right. The bulb.
the whole, oh. Okay, but,
Mhm.
can't say that, okay.
It's parks, it's finance assistant, and it's IT specialist.
Okay, so, but then you mentioned utilities director and fire chief. They are not included in this?
That-
They're there,
To go to the next
Right.
step?
right here. There's utilities director, there's fire chief.
Okay, I see.
These are
Just going
only
back and forth
these are
and
only
where-
noted for very.
Yeah.
These are exceptions because they had some
Mhm.
intricacies with the dates, with their anniversary and with this process, just some because of the higher date. Yep.
Got it. Okay, so was there a second?
Yeah, motion by Yeaple, support by Flintoff. I'd request a roll call when you're ready.
Okay, go ahead.
Reed,
Yes.
Riser, Carrie,
Yes.
Yeaple,
Yes.
Flintoff, yes, Brant.
Yes.
Motion adopted 6-0. And Aurora, I assume can we plan on Aurora being back before us at the next meeting with some proposed policy?
Yes.
Thank you, Aurora.
Thank
Great
you, Aurora.
job.
Good night.
Thank you.
Treasurer Yeaple, we're on to agenda 02, which is possible action adoption of Scio Township credit card policy and Scio Township credit card request form.
Yes, thank you. So I have before us tonight, as we discussed at the last meeting, the credit card policy and the Scio Township credit card request form. I will make a note on the credit card request form. We had some good dialogue this afternoon with the attorney. I'm going to work on revising that a little bit, and have that back for the board. It's really just for informational purposes, this week, and I'll have that back to the board for the next meeting. The credit card policy is completely ready to go for the review of the board. This is going to replace a policy that was adopted in 1995 that Clerk Flintoff recently found. We certainly hadn't been following it for really any period of time, and I don't even know if anyone knew it existed. So there's that. We do have a number of items in here, and really thank you to Maynard Cost Harrison, who provided the bulk of where this came from, and also to our township attorney for their legal review and some of the citations of different MCL within here. Certainly happy to answer any questions that anyone may have.
Should we start at this end?
I don't have anything in, thanks for all the work. I know you're gonna do a few tweaks, correct?
Yep,
And it's gonna come back either on the regular agenda or consent?
yes.
Okay.
I just say it's more informational.
That's-
so people are
this-
aware.
I don't,
Another policy.
I don't know that Ryan and John are saying the same thing.
You're talking about.
The request form specifically, so if you're looking at the policy, that's what I'm prepared to move tonight after discussion.
Okay, okay.
The request form will come back just so the board's aware of it. Yep, that document you're looking at right now, that'll come back at a future meeting.
Okay.
There's a couple of tweaks that have to be made, yeah.
Gotcha.
Trustee Brand.
Thanks for the work, Ryan. Looks good.
Thank you.
I had no questions regarding the policy. I did, of course, that what we talked about earlier, but that'll be at a later time.
Thanks, Ryan, for your work on this policy. It's another internal control we need. If the board adopts it tonight, I would also ask Ryan, perhaps as an appendix, as we do to our policies sometime, if you'd be so kind to keep a list of where we have credit accounts.
Sure.
It's a short list, but certainly it is the treasurer's prerogative about where we have those, and would just ask for everybody's cooperation in trying to use these credit lines responsibly. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan, for this. I look forward to your adjustments to the request form.
Thank you. Just one last note, I did have it prepared earlier. Current credit, open credit accounts, the Chase credit card is the primary. Ace Hardware, I believe Wex Fuel Card, Stadium Hardware, and I do believe also Menards maybe a credit account. Uline we have credit with, but that's used infrequently. Not off the top of my head. Most of the Lowe's purchases have been with the Chase credit card, so I don't recall seeing one on credit.
Wax is the gas card.
Wex is the gas card. Used to be called Wex, now it's like 7-Eleven Fuel.
What's the last one you said?
Stadium Hardware.
No, Elon, or sorry.
Uline, it's an industrial supply company.
Oh, okay. Okay, well.
So with that being said, I would move the model motion to adopt the Scio Township credit card policy as presented.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None, motion passes 6-0.
Thanks for making that a fast item.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It was excellent. Yeah. Okay, on to the burning trash conversation.
That is not allowed. No burning trash.
No burning trash in the township.
Possible action decision on Scio Township participation in solid waste collection. And thank you, Treasurer Yable, for making this so straightforward.
So, thank you to the residents, and community members who have emailed the board about this item. A bit of background, Scio Township received written request from Priority Waste to renew the contract in February 2025 that Priority Waste, assumed from GFL. Scio Township to date has not yet tendered a response to this communication or request. Complaints arrive at the township via telephone, residents at the counter, or via email. Scio Township should endeavor to make a decision on this issue soon, as we should either choose to respond to priority, either with a yes or a no, no longer participate in solid waste collection, or choose a different path. I got this idea from our attorney, but attorney Mr. Fink, but it also comes out of the whole big, hairy, audacious goal. This is a really complex issue, and sometimes we just need to figure out what direction we want to go next. You know, it is much more complex than a yes or a no, so certainly didn't mean to alarm or act in any way disrespectful when asking the question this way. But this is something this board has not talked about publicly. This is something we do have to make a decision on, and we have to decide what's best for the residents, what's best for the township, what's best to provide service to people if we are going to be in this business. So looking forward to hearing everybody's input. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, which end? Who wants to begin?
One of the questions I have is, should Scio Township participate in solid waste collection and management? And just as a point of information, you don't mean by participating in solid waste collection, we're going to buy trucks, staff it, and we're gonna pick up recycling and pick up trash, pick up compost. That's not the part.
No.
Because a lot of municipalities do that, just for clarity, that's not what you mean.
Correct. That is not my intent.
And so in other words, really, it's, should we continue to allow vendors, suppliers into our township pursuant to section 26-21 contract required? And that's really the essence of the question.
Correct.
In other words, do we keep priority waste and or potentially additional contractors? Or should we get out of the trash, allowing business and allow and have residents contract for themselves or contract through their HOAs or other associations?
Correct.
Okay. So I'm going to vote, I would vote for A for some of the reasons that we've talked about, why we got into this. Because to have fewer trucks, a yard waste truck, a trash or recycling truck from one company is better than multiple companies, in my opinion, with respect to dust and noise and wear and tear. And I'm in favor of it. Whether we should open it up to allow vendors in addition to priority waste, I would be in favor of that. I can say that I'm not the one who fields the complaints. But people in my neighborhood are generally satisfied with their trash hauling services. I concede that might be because we're a dense neighborhood, it's pretty easy pickings, just go boom, 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 and get a lot of them done. So I might not be representatives of the driving all over the disparate neighborhoods that we have. So I've got it pretty good, maybe because of the density of my neighborhood. So I'm going to be voting for A, and I wait to see the results.
Okay. Trustee Brandt.
I can't comment on priority waste. I have never seen any reporting for anything they do. I don't know how they're doing. They committed, they took over the contract July 1st, 2024. They committed to a portal, robust reporting. I have seen nothing. So I cannot effectively weigh in on priority waste. I can weigh in on having a single hauler, which makes sense. The people that have weighed in on this have a great deal of experience. Tom Oth, particularly. So which direction we go, is it priority someone else? Until I see something that says what their performance is, I don't know how to evaluate that.
Treasurer Evil.
At this point, one of my suggestions would be I'd vote yes, simply because of the resident input. Personally, I would vote no. I think we have a lot of things to worry about, and this really shouldn't be one of them, but I know a lot of residents are very passionate about this. And one solution, I mean, if we do have enough yes votes, would be setting up a committee, preferably with some of the residents who I've already heard from are very interested in potentially being part of a committee to review our options and see what we do from here. Thanks.
Okay.
Well, I'm sort of undecided, and part of what's been frustrating to me about this is the lack of data and information we have to make an informed decision. I think this goes back to staff performance. I think it goes to board performance. How do we get ourselves organized? so that we're actually tracking data, reporting on things, bringing information to a table where we can make decisions. I'll say, in July of 2020, I voted for the ordinance. In November of 2020, I voted against the contract. I know that they are inextricably tied together. My understanding is a good way to get out of this contract is to repeal the ordinance or modify the ordinance. So what I see as a potential proposal is to repeal the ordinance or modify the ordinance. In terms of how we would modify the ordinance, that would be yet to be developed. Currently, in terms of like the goals, what I like about what we have done and what we have in place, it has encouraged residential recycling, where we have a lot more people recycling at curbside.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe, though we have no data, which is our own shortcoming, that we never collected this data. I do believe we have probably reduced the number of truck trips on some of the roads. Have we controlled costs? I don't know. We have not gotten data on that. Theo has reported, and I have no reason not to trust Theo, that he is stating that it would be more expensive, that this contract is good. I've heard things to the contrary. I know through the Materials Management Committee, he would have kind of a bird's eye view. But are we controlling costs for the residents? And is it worth the cost to the township, which is mostly in headaches, but certainly some staff time as well? And has it improved? Have we improved the quality of the service? I would say absolutely not. We have taken on the responsibility for a service over which we have no control. And that is the fundamental problem with this scheme and why I voted no on the contract in the first place. And if we were in a position to hire our own people, buy our own trucks, or even to specially assess residents for garbage collection, then I feel like we would have more control over it if we're administering the service and delivering the service, but we don't administer payment and we don't deliver the service. So I would be open to looking at models where we administer and deliver. I am not supportive of continuing what we're doing now, and I am not supportive of taking over administration of billing for a private corporation, which I know some other places do. So I don't know exactly what the solution is. I think it is probably either to repeal the ordinance or to modify the ordinance, certainly to open up competition. I would hope that we could encourage some standards of service, but I would support repealing the ordinance, but I do recognize what Tom is saying. We would not be going back to where we were. So much has changed with the market. Costs will go up. Even if it's not the actual market, they'll use it as an excuse to jack it up. I am in particular supportive of people having choice of who they want their provider to be, especially with some of the HOAs, Lock Alpine Improvement Association, and others who did in fact have better deals before this was in place. So I think the answer is somewhere between repealing or modifying the ordinance, but nobody has pulled together enough data or information for me to give a more informed opinion than that.
Well, excuse me, I, like John, am in favor of option A. We have 90 days, as my understanding, we have 90 days before the contract will renew or expire. Mariah, have we actually renewed the contract? It has not been renewed yet, correct?
Priority has made a request that the contract be extended.
Be extended, okay. So could it be extended for 2 years, 3 years, or does it have to be 5?
I think that we could negotiate something that hasn't been raised yet.
Okay. Well, we have 90 days to negotiate with Priority. And I
don't know that that's what Mariah said. The contract ends in December of this year. So
I'm sorry, say again.
the contract ends in December, the first term ends in December.
It does not automatically renew?
I do not believe it automatically renews.
Okay, so, all right. When the contract expires, do you believe that Priority would then cease operation in Scio Township?
I have no idea.
Okay, they've not,
But could I point out, though, that currently you do not have a single hauler ordinance. Correct.
Mhm.
You can have other contracts with other haulers in addition to the current contract.
okay. I think we should work with Priority over the next 3 or 4 months for several reasons. I think Mr. Egermont, is that it? Egermont and Tom both raised very good points, very excellent points about not going back to allowing or presumably forcing our residents to select a garbage, find and select and negotiate with them to do trash, recycle, and composting. I have a question about the number of people who actually use composting. We had the compost truck come down our road every week, week after week. And finally, I told the guy, don't bother to come down our road. We don't compost, or we don't give you the compost. We compost here. So I don't know how that is in the township, but that's a third truck that comes through the township. And if it's not being utilized, that might be a negotiating point with Priority. I don't know. We have no data, and I don't know how we would get that data because I don't think they count the number of pickups they make for composting. So really, we have no data to make a decision, quite frankly.
Wouldn't they know the number of tips?
They would know the number, yes, that would, they could give us, I guess, the number of cubic yards or the number of tons of composting they pick up. I don't know how we would divide that to determine we have 300 residents using it or 3,000 residents using it. You know, how would we do that? I don't know. But one thing that would be very interesting to know is I have no complaints with Priority. Like John, for me, my neighborhood, we have 8 homes on my street, 2 of which do not use garbage. So we have 6 people put out their garbage, and they are picked up very regularly, and when they miss it, they come the next day. Now, that theoretically is a violation, but if they don't have the people, if they don't have the trucks, that's a fact of life. But they do come the next day. We don't even call them. So I have no complaints about, and I had no complaints about GFL either, oddly enough. But apparently we have a lot of complaints. I would like to know, like the fire chief makes that temperature map, I'd like to know where all those misses are, because if it's one particular neighborhood, maybe there's a problem with the truck getting there. I don't know, but so we need to know that to go back to Priority and say, we'd like to extend the contract for 2 years, 3 years, and here's what we'd like to do. And in those 2 or 3 years, then we can go and find other solutions. You got 90 days to find another solution, basically, or 100 days, whatever it is. If we're thinking of changing it and letting other people in here, I would be against letting other people in here. Simply because of the fact, like Mr. Egermont says, the wear and tear on the roads. We now have 3 trucks coming through the township twice a week, because I don't believe they pick it up all in one day. I think they come through twice. That's 3 trucks, or that's 6 trucks a week. Now, if we had 2 haulers or 3 haulers, and I doubt we'd be able to get composting. We might not even be able to get recycling. So we would get trash. So that would add at least 1 more truck, possibly 2 if they got recycled. So then we'd have 3, 6, 10 trucks coming through every week. So that doubles, or almost doubles the amount of wear and tear on the road. So no, I would not be in favor of allowing another contractor in here. If we want to get a new garbage company, fine. We should need to start negotiating, finding, that's a year and a half process. I was on the original what do we call them, the trash team. And that took a long time, just to winnow down the RFPs. So if we really want to do that, then we need to start looking now, extend the contract for 2 years or 3 years. Maybe negotiate a different price. I don't know, but I'm not a good negotiator, so don't put me on a team. But I would vote for A, not B. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. So Christy, Fran, and I are the ones that take care of these complaints. This is just from when I took office. Okay? This is Sean's that he provided. Christy, I asked you, this is
From 1 year.
from 1 year, from priority, 423 complaints. That's not,
Off our website,
yeah, not including this, mine.
and it used to be even more.
Yeah, and 50 complaints in the portal just from June 13th when we started using the portal. So yes, there are complaints. There's many failure to collect solid waste, failure to complete all routines. There's also now they're pulling, I just had a resident figured out, helped him. He has been renting a house over in that part of I'm not gonna say where, and he has never had garbage. He wanted to sign up for garbage. So according to our contract, new service receives bins, carts for free. They charged him because he's not a new build. They even went to BS&A and took a screenshot of his house that was built in 1971 and says, you don't get new carts. So that took a whole couple of days to figure that out. There's triple billing. They're not even providing bills to some people until it's too late. And then they have all these late fees. It's over and over and over again. And if you have good service, good for you. You're one of the lucky ones. Somewhat satisfied, very dissatisfied, or not. I mean, they go, let's see, very dissatisfied, complete. I've had people say, when are we gonna get out of this? This is terrible. I've never had a company this bad. As far as our contract, it is 5 years for another 5 years. It's not, we don't get to really negotiate according to what I have read. Now, our attorney may be able to do something different regarding that. And as far as roads go, roads are built to handle large trucks, heavy trucks, except for private roads that are built with, just a couple of inches of asphalt. Regarding gravel roads, it actually helps compact the gravel, so that's really not an issue. But it's the private roads that are the roads that can be really deteriorated with these heavy trucks, and many of them. In fact, I've had this past month 3 complaints from the same private road that Priority Waste is using that as a turnaround on the days that they don't have service. Contact the general managers, contact through the portal, email constantly, and it just doesn't get better. Priority Waste is, and we know this from other communities where they're trying to find Priority Waste and they're pushing back. We could find Priority Waste, but we're not, what are we gonna do with that money? Because we can't give it back to the customers because we don't have a contract. It's the contract between the customers and Priority Waste. We're just a third party that says, hey, this is what we're demanding, that you only have one company to service you. That's it. I did call around and I tried to talk to some companies. A couple of them won't even talk with us unless they come in front of us with an RFP. Waste Management, which is now WM. I did talk with her. Her name is Chantel. And again, she couldn't give me prices for the whole township because it's determined by the number of users, services, and how often they have pickups. With a contract with the municipality, then they are able to offer trash and recycling and yard waste and what's the other bulky items. But if they, if, let's say we just open it up and people contracted with them alone, they would only be able to get garbage and recycling, not the other two, whatever reason. Oh, they also share that priority rates for Scio are the highest in Washtenaw County out of the, garbage contracts. So that's something that, and one of the reasons that we went to this is to, for township wide is to get a better deal. It was never a better deal from the beginning because I know for a fact, this is the one area back in the past that I had delved into. Saginaw Hills had GFL as their contractor, $14 a month. They negotiated that with GFL. The township negotiated for a higher price with many more company or residents, I mean. French Country Estate, they were with Republic for $12.13 a month, and they had the exact same service that we went with GFL. There's others as well. Parkwood, they did the same thing. Actually, it was around $12 a month for them. And that included everything. So I am not in favor of having township wide. I would rather get out of the business unless eventually we had our own company, where Scio Township, and we had more control over what our employees did for our residents. But this is ridiculous. Now, if you want to put this together in a spreadsheet with data, go right ahead. Yeah, I'm not doing it, but I can give this to you and you can go through and just read if you'd like. The way that this is set up is just not working. We could go ahead and just fine the company, but what are we going to do with that money? We can't give it back to our customers. In fact, here's the other thing. Priority is not, if they miss 2 or 3 weeks, they're not taking that off the customer's bill. They just said, oh, well, we'll get to you. It's really not good for our customers or our residents, but priority customers. I am supportive of modifying or even repealing the ordinance and starting over if we have to. And I understand where, having less trucks on the road, but I can tell you in my neighborhood, I counted one day, 6 GFL trucks. Then they came back the next day for going up and down the road. So I'm like, well, what's the point of, saving the roads? This has not been fun. And this is not part of my statutory duty, so I don't get paid for it.
It's in the ordinance.
It is in the ordinance.
Doesn't matter. It's not part of my statutory duties.
Contract reopener per the original GFL contract. Item 2C. 2C, contract reopener, in order to discuss and resolve unresolved issues relating to services under this contract. The township shall have the right, but not the obligation, to reopen the contract one time during each 5-year period. The reopener process shall start with the township providing a written notice to the contractor requesting the reopener and stating the basis of the reopener with respect to an ongoing service issue. The contractor and township agree to schedule and conduct a meeting within 30 days of the reopener request. Seems like a option, but I am not stuck on just doing this with priority, so I defer.
Yeah, I just have some questions. And I've never been part of the negotiating team, so I don't know the details, but I'll say over the last 5 years, I've seen different constellations of people have come to Jesus meetings with priority waste several times and get tough, okay? Clearly, we've been not very effective. So I guess my question, and Mariah, appreciate this. This is not, I don't want to ask you legal advice in public, but I would like to get a better understanding, and maybe it's in written form to the board, because I know there's the news article of another jurisdiction finding priority waste, and they're fighting it in court right now. Does anybody at the board table have any experience with issuing fines to priority waste, that being effective? Do we think that tougher negotiation to say, hey, I'm thinking about Tom Oth saying, hey, if we really sit down and talk to them and really hold them accountable, because I don't know, despite everybody's best efforts, we've been unable to do it, and maybe it's because we just don't have the control and the levers. So is it that we don't have the control and levers, or is it that we haven't used everything that we have at our option? That's what I'm trying to understand.
Or to anybody, yeah. Mariah, there was, Jim had sent out an email regarding, was it a newspaper or article? Was it Macomb County?
So that community pays directly to Priority, so what they've done to handle their fines is they have not paid the full amount to Priority, so they've subtracted the fines from the payment to Priority.
Gotcha.
A very different situation than we're in here.
Okay. A second question I have is around our administration of complaints. I know how we, and I just want to thank Christy and Fran and Jillian and Will. But Christy and Fran from the gate, I remember the paper surveys coming in. Okay, so there has been a lot of work, whether it's paper, whether it's on the web form, and now the portal. Could Jillian and Christy please explain how we received complaints and how they were processed through our web form, like who they went to and how they were processed? And now within the past 3 weeks now, since we have the portal, how complaints are processed and who they go to?
Well, it's sort of the same, one of the same, which I didn't understand why we were doing the portal. But on the website, the emails would go to priority, certain people at Priority. I don't know if they're still there or not.
That's another great question.
There, okay, Paul, it goes to Jillian, Sam Junior, billing. So the website will send it to those people automatically. And then the portal, the same concept.
So how did the
portal
work?
Well, the portal's different. So the form online goes to all those people that you just talked about. The portal is when, and I haven't brought up to Priority, because if they want us to take all those emails that come in and put them in the portal, we're not doing that. Unless you want to, or Fran, but it's just way too much. So when we get a phone call, email, a direct email, or somebody comes to the counter, then we take those complaints and we go into the portal and we manually put everything in there, the time, the date, we have to track them down to get their service day, their
That's if it's a phone call, yeah.
Okay.
well, or in person, or email,
Well-
you still have to do that, yeah.
The email, as long as they go onto the website, I don't get
No, no,
email
no.
directly.
Oh, I do.
I don't.
I get a lot of them. Yeah. So, and then, yeah, so that's how that portal works. And they just started that, so as far as I know, because whenever an email would come in, I would just shoot it off to the general managers, and then they came back, why aren't you using the portal? Well, the portal didn't even work for a couple of months after they trained us in it.
But now it's working, okay.
Yeah, we had to figure out some glitches, but
It's through Teams, it's
It's their portal.
correct.
And is there an easy way that aggregates the data? Because I know our web form was just simply a communication form, but because their portal, I thought what they presented to us was that it was gonna have a dashboard of like, days till complaint resolved and things. Are there metrics?
no. No, it's just, it's pretty simple. And it does say, some of them they haven't even gotten to. Some of them say, in progress or complete, and they say complete on some that aren't complete, because then those customers contact us and say, hey, this hasn't happened.
when somebody enters something into GFL's priorities portal, do we get notified of it?
No, we have to enter into the portal.
Can customers,
Yeah.
are we directing customers, if customers have a complaint, how do we direct or encourage them to enter that information directly into the portal?
They don't.
They don't, it's internal only.
Oh, it's designed to be internal.
The external is what we have on our website that I feel is more useful because they will get it via email.
Agree.
They being priority.
Correct.
And then, and then we have a lot, the same. I'm thinking of one person off the top of my head that came in again, that she's filed a lot of complaints through the online website or our online complaint form, and it just seems to be the same complaint over and over again. But yeah, no, this portal, and I know that customers have a portal, but that's only for them to go in and pay their bill. Somebody took a screenshot to show me because they were not receiving paper or email bills, and then they were like, well, I think a bill is due soon. So they went in and they found that it was like 2 days later, their bill was due, but they never got notification. And others are not even receiving their bill, but until 2 or 3 quarters later, and then they have all these late fees. Oh, another one is vacations, snowbirds or sunbirds. They're having issues, they file their form, and then priority doesn't accept it or doesn't give them the deal, so then we have to go back and get them a refund. They are refunding for that, for the most part. Oh, and lately it's glass shards. They're dumping glass shards in Loch Alpine. We've had quite a few complaints, and also that neighborhood over there.
Well, I don't know that they're dumping them. Dumping like large quantities of glass shards, what are you saying?
Well, however it's being, there's pictures, however it's being dumped, I don't know if there's a hole in the truck, but it's ground glass.
So can I? Is this a discussion item? Obviously, we're discussing it. Is this going to be an action item on today's agenda? Or are we just gonna talk about it and take action at some future date? I'm not.
I think, yeah, and obviously we're getting towards a later hour. My intention was to get us to talk about it. I guess I would say from my general consensus, let's go back to my notes.
Because
4 people that are, and tell me if I'm wrong, the way I wrote is Riser would be yes. Kathleen, what were you? That's the one person I didn't write down. Or are you undecided?
This is a very complex, so to just say, yes, let's keep a single hauler does nothing for, do we keep priority? Do we transition away from them? It's more than the A or B.
But I think your question tonight is, does the township want to continue to be in the trash hauling business?
Like have an ordinance.
or administer,
Well,
or have an ordinance.
have contracts. Does the township want to require trash haulers to have a contract with the township?
26,
Which
21.
means you're in the business.
Correct.
That's because all the other intricacies of,
Which
is it prior, or is it priority and, or is it
Yeah.
someone else? I think those are things that can be worked out later, but if you can't answer the threshold question, we don't know where to go next.
Correct.
And if I could, I just reference, like, I know I've talked to you about this privately before, Mariah. I don't know what meaningful element an ordinance would have if not some sort of a contract with a provider. Because when I was trying to think, like, is there a way to encourage recycling, control the quality of a service without having a contract with a provider? And I can't think of any. So it seems to me that the guts of the ordinance are to require a contract or contracts.
We pay the bill and put it on residents' taxes.
I would not be in
Yeah.
favor of that for a lot of different reasons.
Find the company and put
Yeah.
on rebate.
It's another model that was part of the discussion earlier, and I believe, unless my memory is off here, that would be a contract adjustment, not an ordinance adjustment.
And then if, right, priority already, no. And the one reason why we were voiced against the mandate for every parcel is that we have senior citizens who don't create a lot of trash. We have people that are disabled that don't create a lot of trash. And this is an extra $400 a year. No, let's see. Yeah, a close to $400 a year bill.
But that's I haven't heard anybody proposing a mandate for trash service.
He just did.
No, he didn't.
Well, he didn't, he brought it up and I'm responding to that.
I believe he was simply talking about the billing, that the township would take on the billing. Is that correct, David? Yeah, that's what I thought. That's different.
Yeah, admittedly, my
But that's not the
goal,
taxes for everybody.
yeah, admittedly, my goal in asking this question this evening was to start this conversation because as Attorney Fink stated and Mr. Fink actually stated, before she did, we have to answer the threshold question because if our answer is yes, then we have a whole series of decisions in front of us. And if our answer is no, then we have relatively limited options in front of us.
So I think should Scio Township contract rather than participate, because our ordinance says contract under.
Oh, that may have been my language, I
But
apologize.
should Scio Township contract with solid waste collection service providers? And then a secondary question is, if yes, should Scio Township continue to contract exclusively with priority waste?
Good question.
Or allow others?
One company. Well, that's
No.
exclusively.
Oh, yeah, should we have one or allow others in? Because we could follow our ordinance and let anybody come into our township and then still be, like, sure, come on in. What rates you gonna have? The water's warm.
Well, and actually, if we allow another contractor in, have two, then that gives the residents options. And then if they don't like priority because they're not fulfilling their obligation, they can go to the other, and one way or another, priority is gonna either step up and do better, or they're gonna end up leaving, yeah, because they don't have the customers. Right.
I mean, David's right. I mean, they might leave anyway. I doubt it, right? I mean, I think another contract, I also think that, again, there's a lot of unknowns about what will happen. If we were to look at other contractors, I do think we would need to develop an RFP process and, get some other bids. And then we can choose to put them in the mix or not. I mean, all of that's possible under our existing ordinance.
Does she need a decision tonight or pretty soon?
Who's she?
Does our council to?
Council is not responsible for garbage.
No, but I mean, if we're going to rely on her for negotiating.
You should ask Mariah directly what she
Yeah.
needs.
And it was a
I don't-
rhetorical question.
No,
I could.
it is rhetorical. I don't know. I think what we've said is what we've said. I think David raises a good point. I mean, Mariah's told you the status of it. We've received the request from, priority or, and I don't, was that back in February?
I don't even.
Ish.
remember when.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think we should, based on expert opinion, and let's clarify something. Other communities do the billing and therefore their rates are cheaper. I'm not suggesting we do that, but when we talk about other communities are cheaper, that's because they're doing the administrative tasks. I'm sorry?
I don't know,
Yeah.
because they have negotiated a better deal.
and they do the billing. So I think we should continue having a contract. I can't tell you how many people to do, but administratively, we are not managing this contract. We are absolutely not managing the service, the performance, any assessment of penalties. I might go so far as to say we should be finding the Priority or any other contractor. And if it requires that we assess fees that will allow us to hire administrative staff to keep one or more companies in line, then maybe we should do that. Because right now we're getting the worst of probably all worlds. We're accepting something, we're not taking action to get so if we can't administer, maybe we need to put that in our authorized positions, which will be paid for by the fines that we assess.
That's reasonable, because if we were billing then, we would be able to fine.
Right.
But let me just point out, I can complain that they didn't pick up my garbage and they're gonna say, prove it. Prove it that we didn't come down.
We
your
don't-
road that on-
You know, I don't think you have
We
to
no
prove.
way of proving it.
Well, we would use the complaint system. I don't think we have to prove everything. If we have somebody that's stated they haven't, we're gonna accept that as fact. That's part of how you administer.
Absolutely, I agree that, but how are we gonna get them to pay the fine?
Right, they're not paying the other municipality, right?
Well, the other municipality, there is a dispute about the fines, that municipality withheld a payment. Saying that the fines were owed, so the municipality had the money already and didn't pay it to Priority. What your point is good, I mean, what you're saying is that we're gonna say to them, you owe us X. And we haven't tried that yet. And we don't know if they'll pay or not. They are disputing the fines in this other community, according to the news article, which I will just say, you can't believe everything you read in the paper.
Yes.
And then if, okay, we find them and we get the money, what do we do with that money?
Well, trustee Brandt was saying we could use it for administration of the process. Is not a terrible idea.
Yeah, part-time, big part-time billing, part-time complaint management.
That person would literally work themselves out of a job though, right? If they were.
That would be the goal.
Right.
And prorated legal fees, of course. So I guess at this point, I would just ask the question, it sounds like the answer is yes from this board. I'm gonna bring this back and I wanna hear at the next meeting what we're gonna do next then.
Yep,
So we'll just, is this a motion to table then?
no.
No, I mean, we could take a public vote if people want to.
What is the motion?
I don't necessarily have one at this point.
Fair, that's a fair.
I think through our discussion, we've gotten people's opinions and the opinions I've heard is Reiser wants to stay involved. Clerk Flintoff's undecided, Kathleen I don't know how to best describe Kathleen's standpoint, but.
Well,
We don't stay with our position.
yeah.
But I think the general consensus is we need more information and we lean towards staying involved in some way, shape or form, and we need to decide what we do next from here.
Okay, so this item type is actually a discussion, not a possible action then?
It always was possible, actually, we
It's
could have
always
voted.
possible. Nobody's required to take action, ever.
Then why have discussion items? Okay. Anyways. Well, all right, so what do we do? Just
Public comment.
So, can I? I would like to make a motion just to get a sense of what the body wants to do. And that would be, I move that Scio Township contract with one or more solid waste collection service providers pursuant to section 26 of our ordinance. Support.
Okay, would you be so kind
I sure would.
reread that?
If I move that Scio Township continue to contract with one or more solid waste service providers. It says one or more,
Pursuant to our ordinance.
yeah, pursuant to section 26.
But since it's already in the ordinance, we need to vote on this again?
No, I did, this is,
This is the threshold question.
yeah, this is just giving us direction.
Oh,
Yeah.
got it, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I see what you're saying. Okay, was there support on that?
Yeah, motion by Riser, support by Reed.
Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Good. Is there any discussion? Okay,
Yeah, just the discussion could be priority, it could be priority and others.
yeah,
But
that
at this
wasn't,
juncture, at this
yeah,
juncture.
that wasn't my question. I just wanted to note, I'm still undecided, so
Okay.
at this point, my answer would be no, but that doesn't mean my answer wouldn't be different in the future. It's just for lack of information.
No.
Roll call, Reed,
Yes.
Riser,
Yes.
Carrie,
No.
Yeaple,
No.
Flintoff, no, Grant,
Is that 4?
Next week.
you must vote yes or no.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes or no?
At this point,
Yes or no?
the answer is no with a PS, never mind.
Motion fails 4-2, and I wasn't trying to be
No,
rude,
that's-
just consistent. That's why I
Yeah,
asked for
fair.
discussion, so people would state their reasons before the clerk forced them to vote. Okay.
No worries.
So are we going to discuss this in another time? Because I would make other, I would present other options.
I think conversation could continue at the next meeting. I would motion that we table this item. Or sorry, I wouldn't even say we need a table. I'll just put another item on the agenda
Right.
to continue discussion on the solid waste ordinance and as it pertains to the many questions that are related to it.
Do you want to set a date for that or just kind of TBD, Ryan?
The next agenda is already rather.
So I will say the audit presentation will be moving to August 26th instead of August 12th.
Oh, you said audit, the 26th?
Yeah, I think this is more of a question of when is this board going to have information gathered? To have an informed discussion balanced against the fact that we are, the clock has been ticking on this since we got that notice.
What information do you need?
We, have talked about a lot of different information. People have talked about different models of maybe internal billing administration. People, I think information, what it would take to do an RFP, estimated impacts of repealing an ordinance. We've gotten some expert opinion from Scio regarding costs going up. I know we have other indication from WM that we are the most expensive contract in the county, as you stated. And so I'm just kind of looking for more information, hopefully on kind of price, like where our contract sits and what's going to happen if we let go of the contract in regards to price.
I've collected a list, data on truck trips on roads, data on recycling and composting. Details could be volume, could be taking averages versus number of tips to get a idea of how much our residents are using or how many residents are using those services. are we controlling cost? Is it worth the cost of the township? I mean, ideally, I'd like to task the project manager with these questions.
That's, there you go. Now, because my question would have been, who's gonna get this data? And that's when I'm gonna say, maybe we have to hire somebody to get us organized.
And that is, I just want to say, part of the problem here is, you know, we just need to continue to increase our capacity of staff because we should have this information. We should be able to
I know.
analyze complex questions as a board. So, and it's not to point fingers at any one person, but we as an organization need to figure out how to get the information we need to make informed decisions on all topics, not just some topics.
I would ask Priority Waste to supply that information. They know how many times they tip their truck. They know how many times they miss a thing. Why aren't we getting the data from them?
You're supposed to.
I know. So fine them for not doing it.
Have we, what, supposed to be once a month and it's been a while.
I don't know that I've ever seen it, so.
So who is managing Priority Waste right now?
Nobody's managing it. We're just fielding complaints.
So it seems like this, maybe one thing the board could do is figure out some administrative oversight for this effort. I mean, quite broadly and specifically, whether this effort is to help us figure out a change we're going to make or stick with the status quo or something in between, we need to figure out a person or a team to run point on it.
I spoke with Tom Oth and Mark Perry, and they both volunteered to be members in this process. I think that it's important to have somebody from the board. I would normally be the first person if I'm volunteering other people, especially, although I did ask and both gladly were willing to participate myself. I can't commit to this until after the summer tax collection is over in approximately 45 days, which I think we really need the information, preferably within 45 days. So I'll leave it for other members of the board to identify. And if we don't have somebody today, that is what it is.
And maybe we could ask Christy to put some thought into it and maybe come back with a proposal, Christy and Jillian, on kind of capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No, I'm not going to.
Okay.
Well, and I think part of the reason I was suggesting that is your role in the ordinance.
It doesn't matter. I am paid for statutory duties
And
at 20 hours a week.
And if your recommendation would be that we change the ordinance, I would just ask, is that your recommendation?
Yeah. This takes up a lot of time. It's crazy.
I would.
I did put that in my job duty descriptions and it was not, the compensation commission recognized that, but not this board. So I would recommend somebody else from this board take it.
So this has been the ordinance we've been operating with since November 2020. It is July. We're 8 months into your term. And this is the first time you've brought that up. So I just want to note that.
No, I have brought up about my salary and the 20 hours.
The ordinance places management for this program. I'm paraphrasing. I don't have it in front of me, but places management with the township manager. And if there is no township manager, the supervisor. And so it's being deferential to Jillian's role under the ordinance. So she is stating she doesn't, well, you can state if you don't want that duty under the ordinance is kind of what I'm
We do have
sharing.
an interim manager.
We
Well,
don't, we don't have an
office-
interim, no, we
We
don't. We
don't.
have, we have an
don't.
office coordinator. Is
Who has
what we
been
have.
given the duties of basically the manager.
Certainly, but the ordinance is the ordinance and manager means manager and supervisor means supervisor. So
Section 2620 definitions for the record, director for the purposes of this ordinance means the township manager, the supervisor, or the supervisor's designee at the board, direction of the Board of Trustees.
well, that's also an option for you, Jillian, is a supervisor's designee at the, what is it, direction or?
At the direction of the Board of Trustees.
Okay, so that's also an action you could bring to the board if you wanted to suggest somebody else.
Yeah, the trash star.
Sure, either the clerk or the treasurer.
It's not bringing it to the board.
Yeah.
Do we need to talk about, we're getting a little bit off the rails, maybe we should move to public comment, or is this something we should decide now?
I don't
Yeah.
think we need to decide it. I just want to say that I think this is part of the problem with moving for, why we haven't moved forward as quickly as we could, is we need to kind of figure out who's going to run point. And I would just suggest that anybody with the, authority or responsibility for bringing, a designation to the board, that they might do that at the next meeting.
Support.
What's next on the agenda? You said,
Nothing, public comment. Okay, and this is the time for members of the public to speak to the Board of Trustees for up to 5 minutes on any matter. And we begin with those present.
Ron Pattinson, Scio Township resident. 5 years ago, the trash fiasco was a mess. So staying in it or getting out of it is also gonna be messy. And so you have that to look forward to. I think no matter what happens, it's gonna be messy. You got a lot of work to do. I like the idea of gathering more data. David, you said, how are they gonna prove that they didn't pick up a trash appointment or a trash day? And with a GPS on the trucks, we could say to GPS, prove you picked it up. Show us the GPS data that shows that your truck went to that address and stopped for long enough to collect that trash. And if they can't prove it, then the fine applies. It puts it in their bailiwick. Another bit of data I think you should collect is the comparison of complaints registered with priority directly and complaints registered with Scio through the counter, phone calls, emails, and the website. I remember in years past, I don't think we ever got, in fact, that's right, when GFL sold the priority, we were on the verge of forcing them to give us that data, and they never did give us the data of how many complaints were registered directly with them. Let's see if we can get that from priority. And that will give you some more data on what the true count of the complaints is. And let's get the fine thing worked out. You can give donations to the tree fund. So garbage fines going to the tree fund, that's kind of ecological. It could go to the fire department for paying for equipment. The fines could be used for benefiting the township. We don't have to return it to the residents, but because it's not a fine for the resident, it's a fine to the contractor. And that might be a way of using the fine. So let's figure that part out. Sean McCormick was gathering data in years past. Did his job of tracking that data, did that get transferred to Keith Diswan? Do we know if?
No, and part of the reason why he left us is because of priority.
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, I'm not surprised.
Well, yeah, and I just want to say we can't speak to personnel things and why people left. I would say it is not in the current code enforcement officer's job description to do that.
I would recommend that this is in his bailiwick, that this might be something that he can track. I would suggest that, get, Chris Chang involved in contacting other, suppliers, getting RFPs. You know, he was a purchasing agent for, or in purchasing, I think. No, he was in planning. He was in planning for Ann Arbor. But he might have some skills for getting some of that data. And then, this might be more for Mariah, and I won't ask you to comment on this now, but I remember the absolute war we went through in years past that we could not get out of the contract. Because of the way it was written, and that GFL had the option, if they wanted to continue the contract in 5 years, it was solely up to them. We had no say in whether it could continue or not. So you were talking about that earlier, and I want to make sure you look at that too, that it may very well be that we are locked in for another 5 years, whether we like it or not. And then remind the board, we're going to the DDA. We just spent, well, we didn't spend, it just cost $1.4 million to repair 3/4 of a mile of Jackson Road. And David and Jessica, you guys were both talking about the fact that DDA's got $5 million in the bank. When you think about that kind of expense for repairing 3/4 of a mile, and that was only one side of the boulevard. And we've got what, 5 miles of boulevard? So that's 10 miles on either side, which means it's that 1.4 million for just 3/4 of a mile means that as other sections are gonna need repair, the DDA having that money in the bank isn't as big of a purse as it may look, because I don't think we can depend on getting any federal and or state grants to get that repair done, because part of that 1.4 million was grants. It wasn't all Scio, but in the future, well, at least the next 4 years, I think it's all gonna be Scio. So consider that when you're talking about the DDA too, that the money in the bank isn't as big a purse as it looks like. And then when we're talking about salaries, Jessica, you said something, and I wanna make sure I understand. You said something about salaries in the future are gonna be competitive, not, I can't remember the words you used, that it wasn't a long-term salary structure, it's a competitive structure each year. So what I wanna make sure I understand is that, does that mean that people should not be prepared to have a long career of service in Scio Township? That the performance raises will not necessarily be performance raises based on performance reviews, that those raises will only be competitive rates. And if that results in no raise because it's not competitive, I want to make sure I understand what you said there. Would you care to respond?
I will when it's time.
Okay, I'm all set.
Okay.
That's right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's on the DDA. The fire millage was a hard sell. You know, we had to go back to the ballot twice. So bringing it back to the residents is a no-win. As you said, the DDA ordinance was put together by a board. The residents didn't vote on that. I don't think a lot of residents even know that there's any capture of anything to the DDA. Bringing that information up to them now, it's also gonna be a no vote. I can tell you that. People might be a little more outraged than anything, than the fact that, what? what the hell? Never knew that. No, I didn't know it till it came up. I've been here a long time. Bill didn't know it either. So, well, if we didn't know it, other people don't know it. So anyway, so that's gonna be a no vote as well. And I forgot the third one, I'm sorry. Trustee Riser, you had a lot of questions tonight that make me suspect that you did not read the packet, and that concerns me. I hope you read the whole packet before they maybe vote on this on the DDA at the next meeting, because I really want you to have all the knowledge you need so you can give a good vote. Give a well.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. And all, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, Pat.
Pam Boyd, go ahead, please.
Thank you. Pam Boyd, a Scio resident. One of the reasons why I moved to Scio Township was to put the Ann Arbor city government behind me. And it's sometimes overreach. I voted or was strongly against having a single trash hauler in Scio Township. One of the ways to have the best leverage over a company is competition. And to make Priority Waste a better company, I believe you need to add another company to compete against them. And if you're planning to keep things the way they are, you might consider having a public hearing. Now, when Supervisor Hathaway was taking care of the GFL complaints, I would get a lot of residents contacting me about it, and they always were saying that they were not getting much in the way of feedback from Supervisor Hathaway. With Supervisor Carey, I am getting positive feedback. And in regards to the glass, as it turns out, Clerk Flintoff, I was one of those people that had glass in my street. And if you would imagine maybe the lid of a 50-gallon drum size of glass shards. And it was interesting because there were no papers on any of these, no labels on these glass shards. They were, maybe 2 inches in diameter, various colors, and then of course the teeny tiny shards. Now I swept up the bigger shards, contacted my neighbors and said, hey, you've got dogs, you walk the dogs, be careful here. I thought it was a one-off until I was reading next door and I saw people in Loch Alpine complaining about the shards and the pictures. So yeah, I had a part in getting them to contact Supervisor Carey. And I got a very respectful, professional response back from Supervisor Carey. I never did before. Oh, but I did get a FOIA of Supervisor Hathaway complaining about, oh, that Pam Boyd, she just doesn't like GFL. So, and to you guys who, you're happy with the one truck in your neighborhood, talk to the residents. This is a sticking point. Is it a hill you want to die on? It is for residents who are upset about it. They're really, really upset about it. And I think you need to tread cautiously. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pam.
Thank you. Anyone else that wants to speak at public comment, please raise your Zoom hand. There's no hands raised.
Okay. Board response?
Oh.
Sure. Please.
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to Rob Pattinson. I was stating that this implementation of a classification scheme based on market and staying competitive with the market would be a change for the township because we haven't had such a scheme. And so the default has been through COLA's longevity, which are the only type of increases we have that has necessarily incentivized longevity. Longevity is correlated with higher pay more than anything else. So certainly we're moving towards performance-based increases, performance-based step increases. When I said competition, it's in regard to staying competitive with the market scale increases we would be doing each year.
Thank you for responding.
Rob, would you like to be involved in any potential committee for trash?
Can't commit to anything where I need to do that sort of thing. I need to be able to go and spend a month in the hospital with my 95-year-old mother at any time. And that means I have to drop everything and I can't make any commitments like that.
Okay, also, I want to talk about Jackson Boulevard and responsibility for maintenance. That's a primary road. That responsibility rests with the road commission, the Washtenaw County Road Commission. So I'm not prepared to start planning funds to repair. I was very objectionable about the DDA spending $500,000, but let's not think about planning for updating Jackson Road. That's the county.
Yeah, ditto. That's a huge expense. We should never
5,000?
have
Did I say 5,000?
500,000.
500,000.
Huge expense. We would never have enough money for it.
One point of information on Pam's comment, the glass is very likely coming from the recycling trucks. That's where people are putting their glass in the bins, and if it's breaking as it goes in and it leaks out because they're not well sealed, that could very well be the source of the glass on the roads. And David, your idea of heat maps for the complaints, very good idea.
Rob, the color of glass indicated it was not my neighbors or myself. So it's a mystery.
Oh, and they could be, crushing the glass and throwing it in the garbage in large quantities. So we don't know. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so are we? Yeah, that's not.
Motion to adjourn,
At
10:36.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. We are adjourned.
Thank you.